That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
It's Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...
Booty! Sick! Booty!
Fucking deal with it.
What are we really doing?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
A zebra in between a tarantula and an elephant.
Has been nothing more than a sham.
Yeah, we didn't play well, but you know what? At the end of the day, we got the job done.
It's going to be a good time for sure.
Oh, sex with the first cousin would indeed be incest. And
welcome to the Straight Red Card. We are back on a Monday. Happy to be here. This is nicer weather than we had over the weekend, Brett, which was like 15 degrees, 2 inches of snow. Yes, fuck that stuff.
I wouldn't know what the temperature was like outside. I've been holed up in my house all weekend with a gimp ankle.
Yeah, sorry to hear about that. Sorry it's blowing up on you. Hope it's not a blood clot.
Yeah, hopefully not. I agree.
Yeah, if it's that, you better go to the hospital. Hey, did notice that, and this really irks me, that Queen has allowed Pfizer to use their song "Don't Stop Me Now" on their YouTube commercials. I'm like, really? Of all people, you're gonna let Pfizer use "Don't Stop Me Now"? You know, and the thing about that song, though, people don't know this about the song. Well, some people do. But
having a good time getting a shot?
I guess not.
Fair enough, I
guess, yeah. But that song was like when all of his bandmates and friends around him were like, hey, dude, you need to stop hanging out with that group of guys. Some of them have this thing called AIDS, and you're going to get it if you keep fucking around with all these dudes, because they are known to be a problem. And but he was having a good time. So he's like, don't stop me now. I'm having a good time. Turn to the background, says, welcome back to the Straight Red Card. We've got great news. The pesky, boring, and stupid U.S. Open Cup won't be an issue for much longer. Don Garber is a genius. My wife gave him the sloppiest BJ ever. Hey.
Nice rumba.
Speaking of that, two headlines in my okay, so you're on a porn channel, right? And you're watching some porn.
As one does, yes.
And then there's these videos on the side, whatever. They're like, hey, you need to watch these two. You're like, okay, whatever. And one of them was, this is the title of the video. She jerked off her stepmom's boyfriend. What? How fucking, what a tangled mess that is. First of all, it's your stepmom. She should be married to your dad.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't think about that. Oh,
she got see some of these titles. I'm just like, okay, hold on.
They're just throwing out buzz terms at this point, right?
I think you're right. That is some twisted ass shit, I gotta say. And here's the other thing I don't get.
I guess there's a possibility that your dad remarries and you have a stepmom, and then say dad passes away because of arsenic in his meatloaf or something like that, and then all of a sudden there's a new boyfriend in town.
Yeah, but that's a whole story. That
who knows? There might be some buildup to that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could make a whole.
She's sitting on bed. She's sitting on bed with a skimpy outfit on, writing in a diary, and you just hear this 5-minute backstory before she does what you just said.
So, my dad died in a crash, in a wreck. Oh God!
And the brakes were cut. I don't know who did it.
And then my stepmom started dating this guy, and he's so hot. I had to jerk him off. Oh my God, I'm feeling so horrible now. It was so good though. I couldn't help myself. Oh my God. Here's another one that I don't know why anybody would watch it. Ruined hand job. Why would anybody want to click on that? Who wants to watch something that's really great be ruined? What the fuck is that all about, Brett? What is that? Ruined hand job.
Everything was going great until she whipped out the sandpaper?
Well, apparently it's when they get you right up to the edge and they're like, nah, bye. You're like, what the hell?
Underneath it, hashtag blue balls.
Yeah, I guess so. Who wants to watch something that's ruined? God, all right. Some weird shit going on out there. Hey, by the way, if you film it, it's not prostitution. If you film it, it's not prostitution. Did you know that?
That's how Bates got away with it in American Psycho.
Is it? Okay. But it is weird. It's like if you go and pay a prostitute to have sex with you, that's against the law. But if you film it and put it on YouTube, or one of the porn tubes, then it's all right. You were just having a good time. You were paying her to be in your movie, your home sex movie, your what do they call it? Amateur porn movie. All right, yeah, some weird shit out there. That's all I gotta say. Scorpion Larry says, I get porn bots from hanging out with you guys. You highs.
That'll happen.
Not high yet. BMR 209. Thank you, BMR. Brett, are you trying to convince MLS not to pull out of the Open Cup?
I generally don't advise anybody not to pull out, but in this case, yes.
You should not pull out in this case. You need to impregnate the U.S. Open Cup.
Make it better. We have the technology.
Leave it in there and make some babies. All right. Danny and Ari, save the Open Cup. Yes, we will be talking about that today for sure. There is no doubt about it. Although, as I hear, Pete did a fantastic job earlier today.
Yeah, we'll cover one of the parts of his video. Go and watch the whole thing if you want the whole recap on it.
Yeah.
When we do cover it, we'll only cover certain segments because that's how we do articles. We only capture the highlights of it. If you want to go and watch it, you can watch it or read it.
Hey, here's a question for you. What is the weirdest thing that you or your partner have ever said? Doesn't have to be Evie, in bed during fornication. Just the weirdest comment that came out. Somebody said some weird shit, and you're kind of like, that's kind of weird. But okay.
Just before climax, I yelled out Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat!
Our roommates yelled, finish her!
I didn't see that one coming. All right. Probably the weirdest thing I've ever said is, hey, there's poop on my dick. Just so you know.
But that's the weirdest thing you heard?
No, weirdest thing I've ever had to say during sex is, by the way, there's poop on my dick. Just so she knew, right? She needed to know that before she turned around and did an activity. I needed to go clean. I need to go clean up. All right. Your sister is better? What? What is that about? I would have sex with your auntie. Whose auntie? My auntie? My wife said, you're bigger than my stepbrother. I want to come on your sister.
I see a common theme here, guys.
I mean, what the hell is going on here? All right. Sorry, honey. I don't have any money. In the middle of it? Oh, Jesus. Hey, just want to let you know before I pull out and give you the Spider-Man that I don't have any money. You know what the Spider-Man is, right? That's when you pull out, you grab your wang, you rest it on the bottom of your wrist like Spider-Man.
And you shoot your goo at her.
You shoot your web at her, right?
Yeah, I get you.
It's a Spider-Man. All right. All kinds of interesting things going on.
Jack Pineda said he yelled out, Leroy Jenkins. At least I still have my chicken.
I am so glad Meg's not coming on tonight.
That's the greatest bit of internet history ever, guys. If you haven't seen Leroy Jenkins, I can't imagine there's a single one of you out there have not seen that. Go watch it.
I'm so glad that Meg's coming on Thursday instead of tonight.
Like Thursday's show is going to be any cleaner.
Oh, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to clean it up. Just like that guy with the mop at the porn store. It's all going to be cleaned up. It's going to look like a respectable bookstore.
What's the name of the occupation? It's got a name.
Custodian?
I mean, I'm sure that's what he puts on his resume.
Cum cleaner? Juice janitor? I don't know what it is. All right.
There's a name for the guys who go in and clean the booths out before the next person comes in. Kumar says attendant. That's possible.
I believe that's called. I think it's called underpaid. That's what it's called. Underpaid. That's what that job is. All right. All right, let's move on before we get in trouble or something. Say something really bad.
There you go. He's got it. It's the custodian.
Custodian. Oh, sheesh. Okay. Oh, man, I didn't think I was going to laugh this hard today. Oh, it's the first time I've laughed all day, actually. Probably you too with your ankle and stuff. Your ankle being damaged by your long schlong slapping against it all weekend.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Thank you for going to schlonging at balls. Appreciate that.
Hey, I don't have a big penis, baby, but I got a pair of really long balls. Oh yeah? Okay, great, baby. That's awesome. Okay.
All right.
There's poop on my dick. All right.
So Derek,
let's move on.
Let's move on to actual topics. This was 11 minutes of debauchery that I'm sure the 76 people in the chat who have all clicked like down below have been like, hey guys, we've run the course. Let's move on with life. Let's see what's new in the world of soccer.
I didn't know we were going to get to the Spider-Man either.
Oh. All right. So yeah. So Derek, if you had an option to pick your starting right winger versus Jamaica, who would you pick?
Right winger versus Jamaica?
Yeah.
I mean, standard, you go with Weah, right? But I don't know. You could go with Sargent these days just to get him on the fucking pitch. He's that hot. Although Weah would probably be.
Let's leave nines out of the equation. Just go with pure wingers.
Weah.
You're going with Weah. Well, let me paint a picture here and tell you what the what the options were that you could have picked from.
All right.
You have Tim Weah.
Okay.
You have Griffin Yao. You have Brendan Aronson.
Griffin Yao.
Then you have other comment.
Okay, hold on. You lost me at Griffin Yao. Why is he on this list? I understand.
Scoring goals. The people are like, oh, I got to get him on there.
He's doing fine. All right, but he's just getting started. Now, don't stop him now. Don't stop him. I mean, he needs to keep moving forward, but it's a little early to be slapping some Griffin Yao all over this.
Speaking of don't stop me now.
Yeah, Sargent really
having a good time.
Yeah, good time.
Okay, I had to jump off the share screen there.
Okay.
So of those four options, Griffin Yao, Brendan Aronson, and other.
I can't see it.
I'm going to show you in a second.
Oh, okay.
Problem is it already shows the result, and I don't want to ruin the punch here.
That's what she said. All right.
Hey. So, of those four options, what's the percentage of people you think voted for Weah?
Okay, hold on. It was Griffin Yao, and then who the other two? Because
Brendan Aronson and other, and then comment below.
You would think Weah would win that, and that other would come in second.
It's not a bad pick there, Derek. It's pretty close. Tim Weah did win at 94%. That means 4.9% or 5.9% now. Jeez, it's increased. 5.9% because I was 4.3 earlier. Look, 1 hour ago it was 4.3 that picked Weah because I said that's hilarious.
Yeah,
that 4.3% of the voters here managed to pick somebody else besides Tim Weah.
They must not like him, or they've been watching too much Juventus, and it's a Juventus backlash because they hate watching Juventus. By the way, at Juventus, he doesn't really get to play winger. He gets to play right wing back, and it's not really working with him and McKennie on the same side. Yeah.
At first it was working okay, but yeah, there's just there's a different style between him and Cambiosa.
Cambiosa. Yeah.
And there's just a different style in that sense. But when Weah comes in and he starts pinching into the middle, I mean, it's a bit different because it does force McKennie out wide.
Out wide. And then you lose the McKennie in the box thing that he's so good at because he's covering for Weah, who's tucked in.
There we go.
Cambioso, who's tucked inside. What did we say? Cambioso? Cambioso, yeah.
Yeah, we were saying it weird. I'm sure. Yeah. I started. You're like, you just rolled with it. You're like, yeah, that's right.
Just rolled with it.
Italian name, whatever.
Yeah, Lecco, fuck it. All right. So okay, that's
Gioacchini, right?
Gioacchini. Yeah, fuck it. All right. Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, I know it's only like 357 votes and all, but I mean, like 5% of that. I mean, 10% would be what, 35. So you're looking at like roughly about 15 to 17 people voted for somebody besides Weah?
Well, maybe the other 2.2 were thinking of Sargent, like I was.
Maybe.
So that really only leaves 4% of the people that are kind of like obviously not watching enough Brendan Aronson this season because he has not earned a starting spot. I know he just scored, but I mean, big tiddly-do. And then Griffin Yao, I mean, like I said, he's just getting started where he's at there at Belgium.
Yeah.
Just becoming a regular starter and contributing. So let's give him a little more time there.
Let's not forget that the Nations League finals is basically going to be Berhalter getting his A team ready for Copa.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of gambling here, which is why when we got called out for utilize or sounding a lot like a Chat GPT coming up with the lineup. And it's
but that was
we're not going to be really gambling. I mean, it's going to be straight up.
That was one idiot.
No, I know that. I know that. I'm just saying. That's the point, though, is that people who are kind of going above and beyond to try to come up with, well, this would be the best lineup. I'm like, well, no, it's Berhalter, guys. Remember this.
AI could come up.
A lot of changing here.
AI could have come up with that. Well, we've said this for a long time. We don't do Disney lineups here. We're trying to figure out what's really going to happen by Triple G. I'm trying to mind meld with Triple G so we can give you current proper information. Because if we just go out and make our Disneyland little lineup that we want, obviously that's probably not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because Miles Robinson's going to be on that roster, guys. He just is.
He is. It's going to happen.
Yep.
Well,
all right. Chris Kerr.
Okay. So we spent like the last 7 minutes before the show trying to find a freaking YouTube video.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start talking about some of this stuff here. I'm going to have to share this a different way, actually, because we need audio for this. Because otherwise, it won't make any sense to those who don't know the context.
Okay.
So Max says, not trying to be disrespectful, what the heck is gardening leave?
Oh, jeez.
So before you describe it, Derek, because you apparently know it, and you educated Max on it, educated me on it, because I have no idea what the hell it means.
Okay.
Let's go and listen to this real quick.
Now to significant developments over Manchester United's pursuit of a Newcastle sporting director, Dan Ashworth. Ashworth's been placed on gardening leave by
Been placed on gardening leave.
Yeah, gardening
so
leave.
He's tending to his backyard. That's how I take this, right?
No.
Or maybe the gardening aspect is he's now down to the actual pitch itself, working on that. Running the lawnmowers and making sure the grass is nice and pristine.
Nope.
No, that's not what that means.
It's a metaphor for basically sending someone home, and they're not going to be coming to work anymore, but you still have to pay them for contractual reasons. So you're still paying them, but they're not coming to work anymore because they've either embarrassed you in some way. And in this case, they found out he was talking to Man United, and he's still getting paid because contractually he hasn't done anything to break his contract or his side of the contract. So they got to pay him, but he doesn't have to come to work anymore. That's called gardening leave. It happens all the time in Formula One when they switch team leaders. Like, they'll be like, okay, yeah, I know we've signed you until the end of the year. We'll pay you, but you're going to take gardening leave because we're hiring a new team manager. And it happens all the time. They're still going to get paid.
That's the equivalent of when Klinsmann got shit canned from the United States. We still were paying his salary for the remainder of that cycle.
Correct. He was on gardening leave.
He was on gardening leave. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We were still paying him, but he wasn't the coach anymore. Yeah, that's what happens when contracts do that. But I'm a little surprised because, Max has been around the barn before. He is the soccer OG. I suspected he had heard that term.
Yeah,
watching,
I know he does this. He has plenty of contacts in Europe and stuff like that. But
yeah,
he definitely covers a lot of South American and MLS. So, do you think the South Americans talk about gardening leave?
No, they do not use that term.
I would imagine that's predominantly a British term.
It is. It is a very much a English, Scottish, Welsh.
That's why I assumed he was working in the backyard, making sure it was nice and neat.
No hose involved.
So Turn the Background says,
my marriage is on gardening leave. So
we're gonna say it.
your marriage. You're paying your marriage its way, and yet it's okay. All right. So what do we got?
Well, we got the video that we spent
Oh yeah.
45 minutes looking for.
This is fascinating discussion between former Manchester United players. And they were talking about one of the greatest managers in the world, Sir Alex Ferguson. And, basically about how managers today, they way overdo it. Way overdo it on tactics and shit.
What he means to say is Peralta, right?
Yeah, this is a video Greg could probably spend a minute or two listening to because, anyhow, we'll play it.
It was 1840, right?
Yeah.
You're on about meetings, but when we were at United, we've already, people don't believe us. We never had meetings, did we? We never really discussed tactics.
I didn't think we were. To be fair, I think because we were so familiar with each other, maybe those patterns of play that existed. But I don't think he might say certain games, play a bit deeper against them or something, or maybe. But I don't think
There you go. There were patterns of play. Okay, that because they're all familiar with each other, but it wasn't like Sir Alex Ferguson was crawling up their assholes, telling them up, no, make the triangle here, make the triangle there. Okay, now pass backwards, pass sideways, pass it around the box, pass. Like our patterns of play are so fucking predictable.
So what you're saying is they're saying with United that it was not micromanaged.
Correct. At all.
What we're seeing with a number of managers today. Something's just overly managed and structured, and you've got to do this. And if you're not over there, then the whole thing breaks down.
Yeah, even Pep said, once we're in the final third, I don't do anything tactically. That's up to them.
Yeah,
they're on their own.
He's talking about the offense. He's like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, they just go out there, they do their thing. What tactics are there when you're in the final third?
Right. He's more worried about defense and build-up play.
Yeah,
and sort of the structure of the team, how they set up, how they claim space, but not, when we're in the final third, that's supposed to be, on the players. They're supposed to be artistic. They're supposed to be creative. We don't see that on our team.
Yeah, we saw that with BJ and Hudson.
Yeah, we did see a lot more of it with them. I mean, when Greg's
bye-bye. Yeah.
When Greg's coaching the team, it disappears and we ended up doing the shoehorn around the box all day long. Pass it back to Ream. Oh, he'll pass it to the midfielder. Midfielder pass it back to the other center back. That center back,
the horseshoe attack, passing.
He'll kick it back to the other center back, and that center back, by the way, can't make a forward pass, so he'll kick it back to Ream, and then Ream will get it out wide, and we'll start the whole fucking cycle all over again. So that's what we do. But anyhow, you can finish this. There's a few more seconds left.
Sure.
There weren't many sort of nuances of what we were doing.
I
think it was a lot of it was off the cuff stuff. Yeah, and obviously good players. And
do you think the game's developed though to that or
just
not?
With basic principles like one full back goal, one stay, one midfield player goal, one make sure you're sitting. It was that type. One forwards.
Yeah, basic shit like that. Same in my
hey, if Des is moving up with the ball, Jedi, you sit back a little bit. Help out with the defense some, You don't have to sit back so deep, but I mean, don't push up as high as you want to.
We don't really do that. We actually send both wingers up front. And a lot of teams do that, or both backs all the way up the field these days.
Yeah.
And then we leave, the center defensive midfielder to cover the back two center backs instead. And like Tyler Adams. That's why he doesn't ever really get involved in the offense much. He's busy making sure, kind of like Maloney at Heidenheim.
Yep.
Right. He's just there to cover the two center backs so the backs can go up the field at the same time.
In the attack, he acts as the third center back is what he does.
Yep.
Kind of an advanced third center back, but he's still not pushing up into the attack so much, despite the fact that he got that goal the week or so ago.
He's like a man with three legs. All right, so that's it with that.
This must be happy.
It's my third leg, baby.
Well, we talked about it over the past couple shows. We don't need audio for this one, but Bundesliga is going through a spell of protests.
Yeah,
don't want that outside investment coming in to work on marketing and whatever they are going to do. They don't want to concern themselves with possibly losing out on the 50+1 rule that they got going on. So, and you know what? The Bundesliga assures them that that's not going to happen.
Well, it's ridiculous.
You should take that and see, like, yeah, we're fine then, right?
Well, there's only one left now because Blackstone pulled out. In this case, pulling out's a good thing.
Advice earlier, huh?
Yeah. So, and why would they be pissed about Blackstone? Does anybody here really know about Blackstone? They're the ones that have had issues, allegedly, with child labor laws, money laundering, securities fraud. They're buying up insider trading. Did I forget that one? They're at one point, especially they started this during the bug. They started buying up properties and real estate all across the country and raising the value of whatever entity or product or property that they bought, and making it very hard for families to buy a house. Of course, they're also in that Ukraine deal to rebuild. They're the ones negotiating the deal to rebuild Ukraine.
So they're already over there in Europe, right? So they're good. Anyway, this is a great time to bring up the fact that we have a new sponsor today, and it's Blackstone.
No, I wasn't informed. I would have said no.
Derek, they're only taking 8% of our channel, so we're good.
Only 8% of our channel.
8%. Yeah.
They won't have any say in what we say. They do. All right. I bet. Anyhow,
sellouts.
Fucking Blackstone has to be one of the creepiest. They're like Donald Rumsfeld creepy, right? Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to be and arrogant like Donald Rumsfeld was too. If you don't know who he is, look him up. He's a fucking know-it-all piece of shit. Anyhow, so yeah, I could understand why they're upset by that. And now the company they are working with now that is the lead candidate is CVC Capital Partners. You can't really find as much about them and who they fuck over and whose mothers they're selling into slavery. It's harder to find more information about them. So Rumpelstiltskin. It's a while since I've heard that word.
Yeah.
So
in case they take your first child, you know his name.
Yeah. So it's much harder to find bad stuff on this company because I don't know how long they've been around, but they are an investment firm. And let me tell you a little bit about what they do. What a lot of these companies do is they'll come in. This happened to me. I worked for a company, a big corporate company.
For a company,
big corporate corporation.
Yeah.
And so this company, to not be named, came in, bought our company for a handful of $1 million. It wasn't that much. Then they went out and bought all our competitors off and housed them in our building. They bought all our competitors, almost all of them. This is in publishing.
Sounds like a monopoly.
This is in personal publishing business. Okay.
Okay. I know what you're talking about then.
Yeah.
I won't say it.
Right. It's Author Solutions. We're allowed to say.
Oh, okay. He'll ruin it.
Yeah. So, and then after they were done basically killing off our competitors, making us the only game in town for most people, and then our biggest competitors, then they hired a bunch of people. They made us look really big. They totally skewed our profits. They sold millions of dollars worth of false packages to authors that were bullshit. They were lies. We were never had any intent, allegedly, of fulfilling those requirements. They made the business look really, really, really a lot more than it was. And then Penguin, unfortunately, swooped in and bought us for like $72 million. Okay?
So Penguin was better at your job than you guys were because you were buying up all of your competitors, and then they bought you guys up.
Penguin bought us thinking that our company was worth $72 million, and we weren't. We weren't. Suckers. Indeed, they were. And they ended up selling the company off a year later. I was gone by then. Like a couple years later for like $3 million. They essentially lost $70 million in that deal, Penguin.
Yeah.
But they could afford it. Penguin's the biggest publishing company in the world. And hey, they should pay more attention to what they're doing because that's what investment firms do. They go in, they invest, and they hope in a later way to make money from a smaller investment they made earlier. And sometimes and by the way, right before they sold the company to Penguin, they fired half the staff. Okay? Because the deal was done. All that staff there was part of the ruse. Okay?
Dead weight.
Right. There were people there not doing very much. But the more employees you have, the bigger the company looks, the blah blah blah. It's all a ruse. And so,
your office is only 2,000 square feet, but you have 45 custodians on staff.
Dude, my office was awesome. I think I sent you photos. Like I had a lake out back, out my personal office. It was awesome, dude. But you felt dirty. You felt like a dirty whore working there. That's what you felt like.
But the money was great.
Money was great. And that's what the German fans are afraid of. They don't want that to eventually this to grow from 8% to 10% to 12 to 15 to 20 to 20.
It's all a slippery slope.
It is. And
that's why I jokingly said, hey, the German Federation said, hey, yeah, don't worry about it. You're gonna keep your 50+1. It's just it's coming from our end. Yeah, that's it.
This is just investment in the Bundesliga. Well, there are other ways, dude. You guys can't figure out how to get more TV deals, make the Bundesliga bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really don't understand. Like, it's not rocket science.
Sure.
So, anyhow, yeah.
Fans continue to protest against the non-BlackRock company because now you're saying BlackRock's out.
They are. CVC.
CVC.
Yeah. Capital Partners. CVC Capital Partners. That name makes you want to puke immediately already.
Fair enough. Well, we saw the tennis balls in the previous weeks, and quite frankly, we still saw them this week. I think Wolfsburg had another tennis ball barrage. And
all of them did.
Immediately changed the channel to the Forest game to watch Verona play. That didn't turn out well.
No, it did not.
We'll get into that later too. But
yeah.
But I want to show you how the Bundesliga 2 team, and I can't remember which team this is, and I'm sure there's some notification on here somewhere. But look at the scoreboard. It's one of those teams right there, guys. But
it looks like
how they're protesting.
One of those looks like Hamburg. If you could blow it up a little more, I could see the other symbol.
No, I can't.
Oh, geez. It's Hamburg is one of the teams, it looks like.
Okay. Well, they decided to put smoke bombs on
Oh, you can blow it up.
Control cars.
Oh, they blew it up. I love the rope. I know. That was awesome. The dude picked it up and threw it off the field. And then he just kept it rolling. Watch this. I think he chucks it. All right. At one point, he chucks it off the field thinking, all right, I did my job. Then that fucking thing just rolls over and gets going off into the field again. It's awesome.
So a lot of people are saying Hamburg as well. Definitely Hamburg. And other people were saying maybe it's Hertha Berlin.
It's possible. They're both in 2 Bundesliga.
There you go.
Hansa, Rostock, and Hamburg, says Chris Gary.
Okay. So they somebody tossed that out in the field and ran it throughout the field of smoke bombs. I mean, they're getting a little creative with it and keeping the heart alive, and hopefully they can make sure that the front office and all the German Federation just doesn't sell their soul to the devil.
Well, it's more expensive, but they should do what the hockey fans do and throw dildos on.
Or squids or whatever it is they do, octopus or whatever. Whatever.
What's a cheap dildo cost these days? I'm asking you because you and EB are.
I mean, depending on the size, I imagine. I don't know, light sizes, at least 10 inch plus. I mean, that's more natural what you'll experience later on when we remove the situation.
You imagine, sure. I'm sure you imagine. All right, so
we put that up on our, people have like the China cabinets. They put the old China up and stuff like. I mean, it's talking about older people. I don't know about newer people have this or not, but we display our barrage of dildos.
How do your parents like that when they come over?
Oh, so, hey, this is
you guys are
there you go.
Right? Yeah, you don't want to go there. All right,
I gotta go there, guys.
Proud display of heart strap-on dildos. Mom, Dad, look at this.
It's just the focal point of our house. Some people have a fireplace, a nice hearth on there. Nope, we've got a china cabinet full of our sex toys. You know,
And they're really concerned that your kids will poke an eye out with one of those.
Ouch,
things.
Fumar, you're killing me, small.
3 to 5 inches is a Caucasian size. Oh, Fumar, you're probably right for most. Probably right for most. I don't think 3 though. That's ridiculous. 5 seems more. I bet you. What's the average? 6?
4
6?
something. That's 4 something. The average is 4 something.
Whoa, that's sad.
Yeah.
That is bad. Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
no folks.
As far as for those sat sacks.
I'm sorry. I did this last.
I'm just saying for the sat sacks.
I did
but
this.
It's not like you're reaching all the way to the back of her throat. I mean, maybe if you're going through the throat, perhaps. But
I did this on another show, and I apologize. I really do for looking astonished that 4 is the average. Because listen, if you got 4, you just got 4. You just deal with what you have, and I shouldn't even make faces.
It's the motion of the ocean, Derek. Don't you know that?
The
size of the vessel.
I shouldn't make comments like that because it makes me sound like a dick. Like anybody has anything to do with what they're born with.
Dick, you're right, Derek.
Makes me look like a 4-inch dick.
Morton is asking how we're going to timestamp this episode. Well, it's not very easy.
No, it's not.
He does go on to say, hey, you know what? Vaginas aren't that big, so it's all good. Don't worry about it.
You never dated a 6'2" woman, then. I have. All right. She's on the IU basketball team. No kidding. It's not a joke. Not going to say her name.
Only at 6'2". Come on. I guess I've got to take into consideration it's female sports. That's not bad. That's pretty tall.
Yeah. She's pretty tall.
For college basketball.
I mean, I was 5'11". She was 3 inches taller than me. It looked a little weird. It did. I mean, I felt a little weird about it.
Hey, that's just a stigma, Derek. It's okay.
I know. But almost every woman I've ever dated has either been the same height as me or shorter. So she was the only one. And my parents and my family were horrible about it. You know what they called her behind my back? The Amazon.
That's not a terrible nickname. It could be great. As far as nicknames are concerned, that's a good nickname to have.
They weren't saying it because after
they're saying gargantuan or something like that. You know, like say, hey, it's she's the Amazon. You know, Amazons are pretty highly touted. Look at Wonder Woman.
Well, once we broke up,
they all look like that, right?
My brother told me that on the phone. They used to call her that and Bigfoot.
I imagine at 6'2" for females, she's probably got big fees. My guess.
I know my brother would call.
Females are concerned.
Oh, Derek's visiting. Did he bring Bigfoot? Oh my God! They used to talk behind my back, those little motherfuckers. But they told me after we broke up. My brother told me they used to make jokes about how tall she was and how small I looked next to her.
I think that's more of an insult to you, Derek, than it is to her. I'm just saying because 6'2", I mean, next to me would be equal height, whereas next to you, she'd look like a freaking giant.
It's 3 inches, man. What are you going to
do?
You're born with what
it's
you got.
It's emasculating to a man.
Hey, we went out for a year and a half, so it's not like I was upset about it. All right. Oh, it's a long time ago. All right, in my 20s. Has Christian Pulisic done enough to stand out at AC Milan? Yeah, I think so.
Well, let's see. Let's see what the thoughts of the Golazo show has to say about this.
It's good to see him enjoying his football, but again, for me, I want Christian Pulisic to have that edge about him. He needs to take that next level and embrace the pressure, embrace the limelight.
Don't you think he's getting there, though?
I still don't think he's doing it. I really still don't think he's doing it. I don't think he's gone there to make it to say that this Milan team is me. I am one of the key players for Milan.
But did he say Disneyland team?
No.
What did he say?
That he's the key player.
I understand that aspect of it, but I thought you said Disneyland team there.
I didn't hear that. Listen, go ahead. You keep playing it.
I think he's having a great season. I'm not taking that away from him, but I wouldn't still say he is the man for AC Milan. I think that's what he needs to do because that's what he's got to compete against.
Who would be the man in your eyes, Derek, for the AC Milan team right now?
There isn't one. I mean, you've got players that are contributing more than others, i.e. Pulisic, Leao, and Giroud. And in the back, Teo. But then there's a lot of stuff that's not going right there. And there are a lot of people that aren't contributing as much, but those guys, at least they stand out. What do you want them to do? Tell Giroud to.
He wants a hat trick every game. That's how you're going to take this team on your shoulders and win the Champions League and the Scudetto. That's how you do it.
I'm sorry.
Every game, guys.
The natural leader of that team is going to be Giroud because of his age, his experience, his comfort level with that. And, that's not who Pulisic is. He's not some verbal guy who's going to be like, I'm the best and you're all cunts. All right. And this is my team. This is my team, bitch. That's not going to happen. It's not in him.
No, I agree. And funny thing, looking at the table down below at the very bottom there, you see Inter at 60 points, Juventus at 53, and Milan at 52. I mean, for having a player that's not taking the next step, being your second most goal scorer and I think third assister.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if only you had a full team of those type of players.
Right. Now, listen, are there games where I see a very frustrated Pulisic asking for the ball and not getting it? Yeah. Now, apparently, according to reports, there was no other choice in this game. They had to go down Pulisic's side because Leao had a calf issue. So why are they playing him? Well, because they were down 2-0, and the guys that were out there weren't doing very well. Mm-hmm. So they had to bring in the starters. And
ironically, we witnessed this week what a top team in Serie A has to do in order to rotate players around so that their teammates aren't fatigued. We'll get into that later on the show, guys.
Well, that's what they were trying to do. And then even Chuck Wasey was coming back from, the African competition. And so he could only go 45. Although they were hoping to get him
I'm sure.
60. And then, I mean, they didn't really want to even bring Leao on the field. Apparently, that's what the manager said after the game. So they didn't want to bring Giroud on at all. But then, Jovic fucked the whole team by being a complete fucking idiot and getting a red card, slapping some player in the face. So stupid.
Well, and this video was taken last Thursday. So this is before this current match.
Okay, well,
so I do want to emphasize that.
Well, then, maybe after what he just watched the week before, I was a little underwhelmed too, but I didn't think it was Pulisic's fault. I thought I saw him with his arms down saying, pass me the fucking ball right down here, right there. Oh, and then
last week's match, what happened? I talked about this because I watched this match at my parents' house, actually, with my nephew and my brother.
Without the dildos.
Those are at my house, Derek, not my parents' house. Like, come on, calm down now. No, but we watched the match, and it was just like, I don't believe that they went down Pulisic's side the entire first 60 minutes.
I agree.
And then I made the joke. That it was like he's getting subbed off. I'm like, watch it. He's gonna go down the right hand side now. And for the last 30 minutes or whatever it was, they went down the right hand side a lot of the match, and that's got to be frustrating. But you can't sit here and say, well, Pulisic just hasn't taken the bull by the horns and really taken control of this team. They're games where they literally don't go down his side at all.
And here's my only criticism of Pulisic. When he gets frustrated, it's really easy to see on his face. And he does this here with his head. He's like, he's always with that.
That was always the Reina topic too. The arms up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Now, you want to see a guy who doesn't get the ball and doesn't act like that, but still gets his bitching in? That's Josh Sargent these days. You don't pass him the ball, he'll take a few steps towards you and tell you, hey, I was fucking open, motherfucker. Come on. I don't know if he says the motherfucker.
I'm trying to think of the aged veteran player on Norwich that they just picked up recently, this last year.
Sarah? No,
I can't think of his name. He's an English dude.
I really like Sarah though.
But he had mentioned there's an article, and I don't think we played it. I don't think we showed it last week or the week before. Mm-hmm. But there's an article where he was in an interview, and he basically said, "Yeah, Sargent's like our best player."
Yeah,
I know him being on the pitch means that I'm gonna have to play a different position and go over here type of thing. But he's our best player. So it was Barnes. Yeah. Thank you, Gogo.
Oh yeah, Barnes loves him some Sargent.
Absolutely said Yeah, Sargent's our best player.
Actually, after the goals, Barnes was usually the first guy and the last guy over to Sargent during the goals. And then after the game, you saw Barnes and Sargent hanging out talking. It was, Barnes had his hand around his shoulder, was telling him something. I wish I could hear it. But something like, "You're the motherfucking man, keep this shit up," or whatever he was saying.
You're scoring goals, man. You're carrying it. They literally were. They were dropping drastically down through the middle of the table. He comes back from injury, boom, back up the playoffs.
Yep.
It was that instant.
It's a totally different team now.
We have a Pulisic topic later on.
You mean a Sargent topic?
That's what I meant to say, yeah. I don't know if we necessarily need to go any further into this. Like, you kind of get the gist of what was being discussed here. I know Nico comes in later and says, basically counters and says, "No, I think he's doing fine. He's doing much better. He came from a Chelsea side that didn't really utilize him, and he didn't have the greatest season. And now he's having a great season. So you can't expect him to make that immediate jump to carrying a Champions League, carried size team. Right immediately.
Right.
So there's some back and forth here.
I mean, the good thing for him there as well is that, half the team is made up of half of AC Milan or, came from that dysfunctional Chelsea situation. So they can all bond together. Not half, I'm exaggerating, obviously, but three of them.
At least 3 starters there.
3 starters. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah.
So yeah, we'll stop with this video. We don't need to watch more of that. If you guys want to go watch it on the Glosso Show's YouTube channel.
By the way, Meg will be here Thursday, correct? Is that the plan?
Correct, Amundo. Her work schedule got the better of her, and she was going to be working late tonight. Probably listening to the show. Meg, look forward to you on Thursday.
Yeah, if you don't know Meg Swanek, check her out at the Swan Dive, and she's also on Substack. And she writes, and it has written various, I think the most recent ones were for The Guardian in England. Her most recent articles about, I think one was about Lindsay Horan's comments about not smart. And then,
did you hear she apologized?
Yeah, I know. She should have just explained herself, not apologized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just like, all right.
Poor choice of words, but this is what I mean by this.
Yeah, let me tell you what I really meant. What I meant was a lot of the mainstream media puts out some bullshit, and then the fans are going to read it.
Run with it.
Right. I mean, that makes the media stupid, actually, not the fans, but because the fans are just regurgitating.
Well, it's the media. The media is stupid, and then the fans are gullible. So.
Right. Well,
Lawless. No, I use Lawless as an example there, but he's a bad example because he at least rightfully bashed the U.S. Women's in this World Cup and how they performed.
Yeah.
So, insert random person.
I mean,
I think Julie thought he was the person she utilized in the article.
I think Lawless, during the Gold Cup, obviously was taking marching orders that he had to boost this whole tournament up and the team up and kiss Ferreira's kiss Ferreira's shaven balls. But everybody on that staff was doing that except for one, and that was Marisa Dew. Right. Yeah. So everybody was told, hey, suck it up and pretend this is the fucking A team. All right.
Well, and it was flip flop once Paramount, or was it Paramount? No, it had been the
it might have been Paramount,
the HBO crew or whatever that had the Camp Cupcake.
Beasley,
and they flat out, Beasley and company flat out came out and said, guys, this isn't an A squad. This is barely a C squad.
So, I think you could call it a D squad. Yeah.
Let's take this match into contention as far as what they are. Let's enjoy for what it is and hope God that we see some youth players come up through the woodwork that may shine later,
Right.
But
they were honest.
This is the A squad, and Duncan is going to be a 2026 World Cup starter.
So, yeah, I didn't have to get any texts from friends saying, I thought you said this is a good team. Where's Pulisic anyhow? He couldn't even make this team.
We would trust. We tell like it is here in Indy.
Pulisic couldn't even make the Gold Cup team. He must not be very good then. And I'm like, dudes, this is not. Don't listen to Lawless. This is not a fucking A team. This is a scraps team. Anyhow, it's an MLS team. But no, based on the broadcast, you would have thought it was the best team we had.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got next?
We have changes in England for U.S. players.
Where are we going to fit in Yanks abroad this time? You let me know.
We'll do that before we do U.S. Open Cup. U.S. Open Cup will be our last one because that is that is the bulk of this from like this YouTube. No. Right here. From here on is U.S. Open Cup. So we'll fit it before we do U.S. Open Cup.
I'm going to pull a Pulisic there and go, All right. I don't know if it's going to take that long. All right. Fabrizio.
It might not take long. It'll be our last topic, though.
Yeah. Well, if we talk slower, we can drag it out. Fabrizio Romano.
I think you'll have enough. I think you're going to have enough to rant about.
I'll probably get pissed. Fabrizio Romano says Crystal Palace have appointed Oliver Glasner as new head coach. Roy Hodgson has been fired. That was sad to see. I love old Roy, one of my favorite managers, especially when he was at Fulham. Positive approach revealed yesterday night, an agreement between being sealed. Now, as contracts are being reviewed, he is Austrian, I believe. 2-year contract for Glasner. He gave green light yesterday. The good news is that Glasner coached his first game today. It was a tie. The bad news is the tie was against Everton. The good news is that Richards is still starting, and they're playing 3 at the back all of a sudden. So that's weird, but at least he's starting as a left center back. So
we'll take it.
That has not affected Chris Richards' starting spot yet, even though he's now started at center back, left center back, right back, center defensive midfielder this season.
When he played at Hoffenheim, wasn't it? Back in the Bundesliga days? When he played at Hoffenheim, they played a 3-back, and he played left center back there consistently.
Oh, I'm not. It's not.
I think this formation. What I'm saying is, I think the formation may suit him better.
Yeah, it's not confusing to him, but it's got for the team. It's got to be like, God damn, we've played like 8 different formations this season, but that's what happens when you're losing. You're trying all kinds of shit. So,
well, I guess the big question is Roy on his way out as far as manager is concerned? I mean, he's got to be like 125?
He's 83.
He's an old fuck.
Yeah, he's old for a manager. And remember, they only brought him back because the manager before him was fucking shit up. And they're like, oh, man, let's just bring Roy back, because Roy retired. He retired. So.
Sorry, didn't mean to jump ahead of there.
Okay.
Let's see what's next. I got some injury news. Anybody who watched the Utrecht game will probably know about this ahead of time.
Taylor Booth
got assisted off this match.
21st minute, and it looks pretty like it's the same injury again. Yeah, looks like the same fucking injury.
The kid was firing on all cylinders, and then he got injured, came back, took a handful of games plus to come back, and then all of a sudden he's firing on all cylinders again. 5 goals in 2 games, injured. What is the actual injury? Do you know?
It apparently looks like the same sort of. It's somewhere the leg. I don't know where in the leg, but it's bad.
A muscular injury.
I don't know. They haven't reported the extent yet, but from what I hear, it's looked like the same injury he's had before. Could be different leg though. Yeah, same injury, different leg. I don't know. We're going to find out more, but really sad for him.
This is kind of my concern, right?
Yeah. Well, he's far surpassed Ledesma, thankfully, in playing time in the big league.
Oh, sure. But my concern is that habitual injury is going to ruin his career.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's a word for that. We talked about this previously on
injury prone.
So,
yep.
So, yeah.
And he looked.
We'll see what happens. Hopefully
like he was fully back to health.
Hopefully it's short term.
He looked fully back, too. That's the sad part. Fully back. It took him a while to build into the season. But
Bandit's asking, what's up with Adams? Is he still dead? Actually, Adams is back to practicing.
Yeah.
He's back to practicing with Bournemouth. So eyes on the horizon that he might be playing soon. But
we'll see.
Let's wait for it, guys. Let's not expect an immediate jump into the lineup here.
I'm telling you what, if I'm Bournemouth, I'm not playing him until next season.
You paid enough money for it at this point. Maybe bit minutes just to get him through. But
no,
I would wait. I would sit at least a couple more weeks minimum to verify that this is he needs to get back into match fit anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I wouldn't play him though until next season, next preseason. Honestly, just leave him out. Let it make sure it's 100% fixed, because he's got that propensity that once he gets an injury, like at Leipzig, it won't go away. He'll come back. Oh, they make the big announcement. He's back. He goes out and practice. And then he's back. And that was the sports hernia, but still, I mean, I don't know. I'd leave him out until next season.
Ledesma had a couple of starts at PSV.
Yeah, just a handful.
And they weren't consistent either. He'd get playing time, and then he'd go back down to the U squad for a couple matches, and then he'd come back and play, and then all of a sudden it's injury after injury after injury. If I recall correctly, at least. I might be wrong. I've been hopped up on pain pills all day today, so who knows?
Isn't he back at PSV now? Where the fuck is
he? He is now, yes, because the loan to New York was over as of December area.
Because I reported a couple weeks ago him playing a game for PSV 2, right? I'm pretty sure I did on this show. Yeah. Okay. So he's back, but he's not good enough to play for the PSV big boy team.
Yeah. All right. So good friend of the show, Brett, says, straight red, feel this is a fancy way of saying what Derek's usually saying.
No, Derek to Derek. Union Sporting Chief Oliver Runert on Brendan Aronson. With Brendan, it comes down to the fundamental theme. Brendan is a super footballer who must accept the fact that in football, a certain physical aspect is needed to win the ball and contest challenges. Whoa.
Back on some weight, Brendan.
Wow.
Hit those weights, bitch.
Yeah. And I know somebody else said, well, it's not just his lack of muscle, upper body strength, but it's also his lack of balance. Maybe it's both. Aronson came up.
I think he's just easily shifted off the ball because he weighs like 90 pounds wet.
Yeah. I mean, lifting some weights wouldn't hurt him. I mean, you want to overdo it or whatever, but
he doesn't need to be Arnold Schwarzenegger. What he needs to be is a fit cut, a little more sturdy. Maybe work on some jiu-jitsu or whatever, work on balance or something. I don't know.
He just needs to tighten it up, man. Tighten up. Make that all muscle. Get rid of the baby fat around the edges. Maybe not even get rid of the fat. Just pack on some muscle here and there. Solidify the muscles. Aronson came off the bench to net the winner. On Saturday, Aronson hopes he has made the case to start versus Heidenheim. I seriously doubt that this weekend, but he has started just 6 times in all comps this year. Did he just tell him to hit the gym? Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yes. We've been saying that from the lead seasons, right?
Yep. Hit the gym, buddy. Put on some muscle. Quit falling over. Quit eating grass.
This is going to take us into the Josh Sargent topic, but before we get into Josh Sargent, we should probably pull up our dual panic. Yep,
I'm ready.
Panic, whatever it is. Go for
dual panic. Cap them now. Dual panic. Cap them now. Holy shit. There we go.
I sent this over to Derek, and Derek was like, "What'd you say, Derek?"
I said, "Who the fuck is that?"
So anybody know who's in this this picture? Right? Name the picture actually above the picture. That's U.S. capable.
Abo, right?
Abu. He was pulled into the starting the game day 23 at least.
Holy shit! Cap him now.
But he's like a 18-year-old, 19-year-old English Nigerian, I think, American striker.
Algerian, maybe? He doesn't look Nigerian to me.
Oh, that's not him.
Oh, okay.
No, dude, that's not him. Don't worry about that.
Oh, skip the picture?
Yeah, ignore who's on the photo here.
Okay.
We're looking at.
I just said, who the fuck is he? I've never heard of him before.
It's Nigeria, but I'm not certain. But he is a promising striker coming through the Norwich Academy, and clearly there's promise behind him.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I think he's English, Nigerian, American. That's a trifecta right there.
We did have another dual net that was playing on Norwich, playing center back, right? Not too long ago, who out to the first team, and people were like, "Oh, cap him now," blah blah blah. But now he's down in League One. So
Tompkinson,
I think we just Tompkinson. Yeah, correct. Tompkinson, right. So I don't think, well, let's just wait and see what happens. Has he played for anybody else? Have we looked at
I don't know who's yeah, I can take a look here real quick. Norwich. Abu. ABOH?
Yeah. Oh, there it is at the very
Kim.
bottom. Kim is his first name?
Ken.
Ken.
As in Barbie and Ken.
Ken Abo, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's more like I was
So
expecting.
citizenship is England right now, according to this, but Nigerian, English, American, apparently.
Okay.
And he has not played for any youth squads, actually.
Well, good. I guess there's a chance for us then. He's never played for any youth squads in England. There is a chance.
The Premier League 2, he has 11 goals in 14 games.
Yeah. Is he a
That's
tall
probably
kid? Is he a
pulled up.
skinny kid? This agent's okay. All right. All right, interesting. It's something to keep an eye on. Let's see if he gets to play. I mean, he might, because they don't really play Sargent more than 60 or 70 minutes a game, right? So, Abo, okay. What did I say? He's saying Abo or Abo? I said Abo.
I think we said Abo.
We did say Abo.
I think so. Abu, we said Abu, we said Abo, we said both.
Okay.
So,
all right, interesting. Keep an eye on him, but don't have any panic attack.
Kaiju says those three countries are also Musa and Balogun, right?
Okay. Good point. We've got a good record going.
We've got a good track record, yeah.
Yeah. I wish they would have put that guy's face on instead of this guy.
Well, why would they have? They're putting somebody that's in the starting 11.
I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah, I don't know either. I can't watch Norwich.
I watched all.
I would love to watch Norwich and say, "Oh, that's Stacy," right?
Well, I watched the highlights because I wanted to see all the goals that were scored against Horvath.
Horvath, yeah.
And how many of them were his fault? Really, not any of them, except for one. One was definitely his fault. And then I wanted to see all the Josh Sargent goals, the two. But I also then watched every touch video that somebody put out on YouTube of Josh Sargent, but just to see every touch he had. But yeah, impressive. All right.
All right, we're going to stop this because we've got a video clip of somebody gushing over Sargent, right?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I watched a bunch of the Norwich City fan pages on YouTube. This guy has a lot of followers, so I thought, well, let's see what he thought of that game. And this is what he said.
Talk Norwich City. He's got almost 26,000 subs.
Yeah.
So if you're a Norwich fan and you're watching our show, go sub to him.
Yep.
Wasn't it? But this man is, well, like I've said, he's the best striker in the championship. That's my opinion. The facts back it up as well. He's going at a goal every 80 minutes in the championship. I suspect the neutrals may look at the top scorer list in the championship and not even see Josh Sargent registering on it. He scored 10 this season. He's barely played. He played the first few games of the season, then he was out for 4 months, and he's still not really entirely match fit. He's been hooked after sort of 50, 60 minutes in quite a lot of his comeback runs. He managed to get the majority of the 90 in against Cardiff, but even then, there were moments where he was sort of hobbling a little bit. This is a man in the absolute peak performance of his career at the moment. He's being played in his preferred position in the 9.
Finally, too, right?
Yeah, it
took like a season and a half for that to occur.
Well, he had to wait for Pookie to move to Minnesota.
Get it, Pookie. I don't know. Pookie just reminds me of like watching like a Shaft movie or whatever. It's like, we're gonna go down to the corner and talk to Pookie.
Pookie's a badass, though. I mean, he had an effect on Minnesota almost immediately. I wonder if he's staying. I haven't heard.
I think he is. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, hard to argue with anything he's saying because Sargent is absolutely balling when he's actually playing. And it's unfortunate he lost like 4 months there, but
yeah, listen, I don't watch these things just for self-affirmation.
Yeah.
But I'm sure some people think that that's what's going on. When I tuned into this, I did not expect this.
Well, I don't know if it was if we ended up watching on the show or not, but I watched another Norwich podcast.
Yeah,
not this guy or anything like that. I think we watched it like a week ago or whatever. But again, they were talking about it. They're like, yeah, if Sargent were healthy all season long, he'd have 20 plus goals at this point if he continued the rate he's scoring goals now.
Right, exactly. A goal every 80. Yeah.
It's this is one of those moments where like it was really cool that obviously Sargent probably didn't have a lot of options to go to after his abysmal EPL season.
Yeah.
And then he went to the championship and he played behind Pookie, played off to the wing and everything like that. And he re-signed and everything, and he continued playing with Norwich. And it's really cool for him to stick with them because now he's got kind of a cult following.
And if people think that we've been like all over Sargent's nuts, loving him the whole time, go watch our show from a year and a half ago. Okay, because I was fucking riding Sargent to be a man, to step up, to start asking for the ball, to bitch and complain when the ball does not come to him, and that he wasn't taking the bull by the horns. And then he had his kid, and he changed. He changed it. Yeah, it's just like ever since then, since the baby was born.
We talked about that last week with Luna, right?
Yeah, maybe
she's like, it's like, after having a kid, I've got to perform, and I've got to take care of this little guy.
Provides perspective. Maybe Aronson should knock up his girlfriend.
Maybe that should be right there. Like, hey guys, in order to get your European career going, you better
share your sperm
and get her pregnant.
Skip the Spider-Man and leave it in.
No pulling out. I've been talking about it all show, guys. Come on, work on that.
Choo choo. All right.
All right, we got more left to do on this guy.
No, that's it. That's good enough.
Okay, fair enough. But speaking of Sargent, Chris Carey, a good friend of the show, he had a good thread on Sargent because I feel like people are there are people who are like immediately jumping on board saying that there's a lot of people that aren't rating Pepe, because there are some people that are sitting there saying, well, it's going to be Balogun and Sargent for Nations League. We are on record saying Sargent's going to be included, but so is Pepe and so is Balogun.
Yeah.
So whether or not that happens, we'll see what Greg does. Greg
could be Haji Wright too.
Yeah, Greg has decisions to make moving forward.
He does. Serious ones.
Yeah, he's got 4 strikers. One that's very promising, but just not performing this season. One that's not getting many playing time, but when he does play, he scores goals, mind you, late in the game and usually ahead of the game.
Pepe.
And then we have two other strikers who one's playing out wide and scoring goals, and one playing up top at the 9 and scoring goals. So it's tough.
Yeah, but the great news for Greg is that in their careers, both Haji Wright and Josh Sargent have shown they can play out wide in the attack and be effective. So you don't need to worry about this deficit in wingers to back up Weah and Pulisic if you bring Haji Wright to play left wing and Sargent as the backup right winger. You don't have to worry about the fact that there's very thin line after Pulisic and Weah, because there isn't a thin line if you include those two in the list of forwards as they line them up. And it's, of course, as soon as that announcement comes out, if it happens, and Haji Wright's on there, and Sargent's on there, and Balogun's on there, and Pepe's on there, everybody's going to be like, holy shit, we brought 4 center forwards. We brought 4 forwards. Those guys can play out wide too. Some people are suggesting that Balogun should play out wide and Pepe should start. They both should start, but Balogun should start at right instead of Weah. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Nonsense. That's what that is.
Yeah. All right. Greg won't drop Brendo, although he should. I agree. He won't.
We talked about this on Thursday's show, and I think we did Thursday when we did the Nations League 23.
Right.
And we talked about that. And I even because I believe you were even saying like Paredes and Haji or Sargent and Haji or something like that. And I said, well,
backups. Yeah.
Greg is not going to drop Brendan. Brendan's going to be there. As long as he's healthy, he's going to be there. So we talked about that, and we were like, okay, well, it's going to be Sargent and then Brendan as backups.
And Haji's going to lose out because of it, even though Haji's had a really great season.
Yeah.
At Coventry. So,
at this point, you got to. I know historically speaking, and even with the national team, he's played as a 9, but he's doing incredibly well playing out left for his team in the championship. So why not consider him as a viable option out wide?
We got to keep hammering this, guys. Please start hammering this out there. Haji Wright is not just a center forward. There are 3 forward positions. All right. There's a left one, a center one, and a right one. So if you think of it like that, why can't you bring Sargent and Haji? Yeah, you could. They are the backup wingers. And guess what? Let's say Pepe breaks a leg and Balogun's just having bad games. Then you got more options at center forward too. So Brendan Aaronson's not playing center forward for you. I mean, how many misses has he had this season?
Yeah.
For Union Berlin before he finally scored. Like, I mean, even the most limp dick motherfucker scores in a whorehouse.
Well,
right?
and we talked about the previous week before Brendan scored. He was called in for 30 minutes to do exactly what Brendan does, and that is to run, and pressure. And sometimes you might need to make a sub that's going to do just that. That's going to cause the defense to make mistakes, and not necessarily something you're ever going to see on a stat board by any means. But I'm not saying that we need to include Brendan at this point because he hasn't done much of anything this season, and prior to season at Leeds hadn't been that impressive. I mean, he had some moments where there was brilliance that showed. He should have had at least a handful of assists from what's fuck's face? What's his name?
The
striker. I can't think of his name right now. We bagged on him for a year.
I know. I always forget that guy's name.
Should have had at least a handful of assists just from him alone.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is, indeed.
It is what it is.
Chris Gary, a member of the Straight Red Card Hall of Fame.
Bamford. There you go.
Bamford. Thank you. The latest version is not the Josh Sargent I've seen dressed in red, white, and blue. Where can we get this, Josh? Well, it's not like he's had a whole lot of chances. Did you see him at the World Cup, though? He's all right.
I mean, people bagged on him on the comment section of Chris Gary here, where they talk about how, like, well, the World Cup, he had opportunities at the World Cup, and that would have been a great time for him to show up. I'm like, well, first off, his first game that he started was against Wales. He was the one who brought the ball down, held it up for Pulisic to take, and then played it in for Weah to score his goal. The only goal there.
Right.
Second game, he didn't start. Haji started over him against England.
Right.
When he got subbed in the second half, the tempo improved.
Right.
Going to come to that in a second. Sorry, I got sidetracked there by Kevin Durham, but that was a hell of a super chat. I'm going to bring up here in just a second. Third game, he started and he rolled his ankle.
Injured.
And he was out. But it was a solid World Cup. We looked at that and go, that was a great World Cup.
So between the clean sheets, it's just fucking up. He's just fucking up because it's like he's not watched all the games. But I think Chris Gary's absolutely right in saying this is the biggest half truth about Josh Sargent is that he's never done anything with the national team. It's absolutely true. Wouldn't it be fair to
Josh? Before we get to Josh's thing here, because I mean, for 99.99, I think we can stop what we're talking about.
I was just going to finish reading the quote.
I know.
Wouldn't it be fair to consider the fact that he's gotten 6 caps since 2021 Nation Leagues? He's hardly gotten opportunities for the national team. Just saying, Chris is right.
We're going to dive more into Chris's comment here in a second. That's the only reason I didn't want you to continue is because it would spark a conversation here.
All right. I didn't read it yet.
We'll come back to it.
Kevin Durham for $99.99. That's way more than a reach around. I mean,
that will fly you out here.
Brett, you might have to break out the kneecap, the shin guards and the knee guards for that one.
I'll do what I do.
We'll find a public park where you guys can meet. All right, GGG gonna press with.
I'll go on a list, Eric. We'll do it at the house. Come on out.
At your house?
Yeah, why not?
EB can be there to help to give you moral support. All right.
Yeah. Tips and everything. Like, no, stop that.
Or instruction. No, you got to cup. You have to cup the balls. You got to cup the balls.
Exactly.
Right.
Sorry, don't take your super chat away. This went way too far.
GGG gonna fuck us with Johnny Musa McKennie. Watch. Fuck us with Johnny Musa McKennie. Watch. Gonna fuck us.
Maybe too defensive, not necessarily an offensive with like a Rayner or a Tillman.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I mean, those 3 players are great in their own right, but that's awfully defensive and not very creative. I think is what he's alluding to here.
Yeah, because you're going to play a double pivot. You're thinking based on what we've seen from Greg lately, which means there's only going to be 2 of them because Rain is going to be playing the center attacking midfield spot. So there's only going to be two of them. So it could be Johnny McKennie or Musa McKennie. But he's there. He's starting. There's no doubt in my mind.
I mean, the argument's going to be between Johnny and Musa. I mean, Musa with history with the U.S. national team, but he's been getting fewer and fewer minutes between AC Milan matches. I mean,
Musa has, yeah.
Yeah, and then Johnny's been playing consistently since getting to Betis. So
Real Betis. And by the way, they sucked again this weekend.
I had to change the channel, man. I was watching that match. I'm like, oh my God, this is a giant Snorefest. I had to leave.
Yeah, I bet it wasn't that Johnny played bad. He didn't play bad.
It was both teams actually playing really bad. Mm-hmm. It was just ugly.
What was that against Alvis? If I remember right. Anyhow, yeah. I don't know. Greg could fuck us. It's that possibility is always there. He fucks us regardless of what formation we play in because his patterns of play are so obvious that and we've mentioned this many times on the show when Brett and I were watching the game last time, not to fucking toot my own horn, although I'd like to, is that, I could call the next pass out before it even happened. I could tell you exactly where the ball was going to go.
The U.S. match we watched?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
I was sitting there going like, man, I think Derek's like 15 seconds ahead of me. And Derek's just sitting there just predicting the future. He has got his crystal ball. And he's like, it's out to Musa, then it's out to Des, now it's back to McKennie, and it's over to Pulisic.
And you're like, are you ahead of me? I'm like, no, I'm not.
I'm at this minute. I'm like, Derek was like, no, I'm actually 3 seconds behind you.
Exactly.
Right.
In fact, yeah, because you were sending me texts about shit that was happening before I could see them. But yeah,
wasn't that our live show? Wasn't that the show we did live?
That
Tobago game?
Might have been. But Kevin, thanks so much for $9.99.
Oh my God. Yes.
We fucking totally appreciate that. That's might be the biggest one we've ever got.
I think it has been the biggest one. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you don't not only remember your first, you always remember the biggest, right?
Oh yeah. I think that's what Fumar was saying earlier, right?
Well, that's what all the girls tell me. You weren't my first, but all right, I'm not going to say that again. I don't want to get into dick shaming again. This is ridiculous. All right. So getting back to this, Chris is right, and everybody else is wrong. I mean, good point. He's never played in a Gold Cup. He's hardly gotten starts in friendlies since 2020. He's been subjected to Berhalter ball, a system that isn't known for getting the most out of strikers. All true. So I just want to hear the people that are arguing with him.
I'll get to one at least because I responded to one. I kind of even mentioned what I responded with there in a second. But people act like Sargent has gotten as many chances as Ferreira and Zardes, but he hasn't. And that's the thing. A lot of people sit there and they go like, "Well, Sargent hasn't scored since that Nations League against Cuba.
He's been injured."
Injury happens. Then he had the entire season in the EPL where he wasn't really playing well. Sargent got called up. He was part of that whole, I think, the Honduras debacle. He got played out wide, and then all of a sudden, at that point, he hasn't played until the friendlies before the World Cup.
And Greg said he wasn't sure if Josh Sargent, if he was a striker or not.
Yeah.
Remember that stupid ass quote?
Yeah, exactly. Well, then again, Berhalter doesn't know how to use Balogun as a striker either. So maybe the problem is Berhalter doesn't know what a 9 is. Or doesn't know what a striker is.
In general, he doesn't.
Doesn't use
he
person who scores goals. I know I played against him my entire career, but how do we play an actual striker? I would think a defensive player who played against strikers their entire life should know how a striker should be played.
Yeah.
Have so much experience with them.
No, I mean, he would like to make sure the 9s are ineffective because he had to play against them his whole career.
Yeah, it's all payback. You fucker.
It's an unconscious bias that he can't get rid of. He doesn't like goal scorers. He doesn't like them because he wasn't one. He would defend it against goal scorers. Fuck those goal scorers. Fuck those guys right in the ass. Yeah, that's probably maybe one of his problems.
So Chris does go on to say our nines scored 4 goals in World Cup qualifying. In 18 games, none of our 9s scored a goal in the lead up to the World Cup post-qualifying. Besides Haji's penalty won by CP10, or Chris Pulisic in that sense. Haji Wright was the only 9 to score in the World Cup, and it was the flukiest goal ever.
Yep. There you go.
And the last two things he says, he just Chris went on the defense for Sargent because again, you'll find that there's a portion of the population that may not necessarily rate Pepe, and then there's a portion of our population that may not necessarily rate Sargent. I think both strikers are very capable in their own rights.
But does everyone rate Balogun?
I think everybody looks at Balogun's promise, regardless of his current season, and automatically lumps him in as the starter at that point.
So what I said before this season started was that put your dicks back in your fucking pants about Balogun. Let's see if he can do it 2 seasons in a row in France.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Yeah. Don't start over jerking. It causes blisters. So here we are, deep into the season. Balogun, and I've seen the apologists come out and say, well, it's not Balogun, it's Monaco. It's the way they play. Well, guess what? When he plays with us, he's going to have the same fucking problem.
Yeah.
All right? There's not going to be a lot of through balls at Monaco, and there's not going to be a lot of through balls at the U.S. men's national team. We don't play a quick steal encounter. We really don't. Not a lot. Not as much as we should, because we value possession over everything, or Greg does. So, I mean, if you're looking at it that way, who's the best center forward for Greg Berhalter for Greg's system? You're probably looking at Pepe and Sargent before you're looking at Balogun, honestly, and it has nothing to do with Balogun's slump. He's not a in-the-box guy who's going to, be in the right place at the right time or get his head on the ball and score. That's more likely to be Pepe and Sargent. That's what they do well. He's not going to hold the ball up and distribute. All right? Balogun's not doing that. Who can do that? Pepe and Sargent.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not on Balogun. That's not his fault. But at the same time, if you're having problems at Monaco, you're going to have the same problems with the U.S. men's national team.
And ultimately, I think that's the big problem, right? Is the U.S. men's national team and the manager we have.
Correct.
Who got Chick-Can from a Swedish second division. Not being very offensive.
Yep.
Not being creative in the attack by any means. Having a relatively mediocre to kind of successful seasons with Columbus. In the U.S. But Chris brings up the biggest point here is that during the 23 games of World Cup qualifying, summer of 2022, Grenada not included, and September 22nd in the World Cup, our nines scored a total of 5 goals.
Yep.
And when you consider the number of games that were played, the 23 games, and you only have 5 goals scored by our strikers, the problem isn't with our strikers because they're showing it. Haji, even Ferreira, Pepe, whether it's Balogun at some points, not necessarily the season, but Sargent, Pfok, they can all score with their club teams. But when they come to the national team, at that point, they don't score them often.
Right.
So
it's on Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that sums it up. It's on Greg. Yeah. So don't hold it against Josh. And Josh does do a lot of holding up, by the way, at Norwich. So Sarge hasn't scored since March 2021. We just explained why, though, Scorpion Larry. Are you watching the show?
Hey, you're like Sarge, and you completely just went put your headphones on to not listen to us.
I guess you just avoided listening to the last 10 minutes of the show.
He hasn't played much up until the friendlies before the World Cup. So he played a couple of friendlies before the World Cup. He played a couple of matches in the World Cup, and then he's been injured predominantly, or not called in because he wasn't playing well in the Premier League. I'm sorry, but you got to look at the number of games, Larry. You can't just say, "Wow, 1 goal in 5 years," but that's not 5 years. 5 years would be 2026.
I mean,
it's 3 years, but even then, you got to look at the number of games he was available and the games that he wasn't called in.
And it's okay. Just take in consideration that there was a stretch in Peter North's career in porn where he was injured and he was sick and he was out and he couldn't be in the films that he had been signed for. Does that mean that when he got back and healthy that he couldn't perform? No, he came right back and he performed perfectly well in multiple films after that. And I think that means he can still do it. He can still do it. And he's proving right now, Josh Sargent, that he can still do it, that his dick isn't broken. It's actually the hardest he's ever been in his career. And he's scoring goals for fun in the box. All right? Scoring goals for fun right now.
So during that super chat, Larry mistyped and said 2021. He meant to say 2019. Sargent scored 1 goal since 2019, but that doesn't change the point that he hasn't played a whole hell of a lot. And even then, he hasn't played a whole hell of a lot with our actual A squad. And on top of that, he's playing for Berhalter, which we pointed out, and you can still see it on the screen, that our 9s simply don't score in Berhalter's system.
Period. End of story. Doesn't matter who it is.
End of demo.
You could throw fucking, I don't know, name a great center back or center forward right now. Hey, I'm sure they would have difficulty playing for Greg. Honestly, in our system, it's a pain in the ass to be a 9. You're asked to do all the things that really strikers aren't asked to do in other teams. They're asked to sit in the box and score goals.
Our 9s were more prolific under Hudson and BJ.
Yep. This is true.
As simple as that.
Even Pepe said it. Pepe said, I got more freedom under these guys.
And I'm not saying that Sargent's the be all end all striker. I'm just saying that he's getting the raw end of the deal here.
Yeah.
Yes, Larry, Haji scored in the World Cup. A very fluky goal that even he was fucking surprised by.
And Haji will probably get left off this upcoming roster. Unfortunately, I don't think he should be. I think he should be brought in as a left wing backup for Pulisic instead of Aronson. But Greg's going to fuck that too. Okay? So just get prepared, bend over, grab the ankles, lube up the asshole, be prepared to be fucked in the ass by Greg Berhalter. If you're a 9, or if you're hoping Haji Wright gets to be on this team as an option, as a backup option to Pulisic, as a left winger.
Personally, my opinion, if you have to bring in a winger that's, and let's assume Brennan Aronson's included because it's Berhalter, and you have one winger option as a backup, and it's Paredes, Haji, or Sargent, I feel like you almost have to kind of go with Haji in this sense anyways, because he is performing at that spot. Even though I would like Sargent to be included in the Nations League roster, Haji is performing at the left wing. So,
and what does Weah do, or what do all our wide players do? Dest, Robinson, Jedi, they cross. And if you're playing Haji Wright out left, and he can pinch in when Dest has possession out wide right, and he's crossing it, Haji's tall. He can get in there. He's going to get his head on the ball. But Paredes ain't giving you that. Paredes a fucking midget. I like Paredes, but he's a small man. And he ain't going to come in and head the ball in. Not that he hasn't had a decent season. But I don't think, based on the Greg Berhalter situation that we're all stuck with, okay, I'd rather have Haji Wright pinching in when those crosses come into the box than Paredes, because Haji's a large mammal. Paredes is a small animal.
Yeah.
Mammal.
All right. Well, Derek, all I got left is U.S. Open Cup. So you want to hit up the weekend abroad?
Yeah, I'll go through it really quick. On Friday, Green and Dietz played 90 for Greater Firth in a loss. I watched the game. I really wanted to watch how Dietz played. He played really pretty decently in a 3-back as a left center back. Fucking Green for most of the game was just, if you would have told me he was on the pitch, I wouldn't have known. I looked for him, and then near the end of the game, he got a little more active. But boy, like for the first half hour, I actually had to go on US Soccer Way to look up to see if he was on the pitch, because his name was never mentioned and he never touched the ball. Green.
That's rough.
Yeah, Verona didn't play.
Not on Friday. He played on Saturday. Or didn't play on Saturday.
Fuck do I have written here? I'll figure it out. All right, Griffin Yao.
Are we still on Friday?
Yeah, Friday. Griffin Yao went 85, got a goal. Yes, it's good. I'm really happy for Griffin Yao.
Starting right winger for the U.S. national team against Jamaica.
But not that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we put your dicks back in your pants. It's too early to get all excited. And don't tenderize that meat yet. All right, Fossey, 21. This is Griffin played against Fossey. It was Brian Reynolds that went 90, also along with Griffin Yao.
Not Reyna.
I can't read my fucking handwriting. So, yeah, Brian Reynolds, 90 minutes and a win with Griffin Yao. The loser in this was Fossey, because not only did he play 21 minutes, he came out injured after 21. So another guy coming off injured.
At the same time frame, too.
Yeah, Pepe got a full 90 playing left winger.
There we go. We can play Ballo and Sargent up top, and we push Pepe out wide.
So there you go. I mean, that's one way to get Pepe on the field if you're trying to get him on the field with De Jong, right? And then Des went 60 and got pulled in the 60th along with Tillman to give them rest for the upcoming game against Dortmund. That's what was in the press. De Jong also came out in that game to give him some rest. And then Pepe moved to center forward at that point. So we'll see what happens. But it's really weird to see Pepe out there instead of Lang or instead of who's the Mexican guy? Chucky wasn't out there out left like normally in this season he has been. So interesting, maybe again giving everybody a breather before the Dortmund game, and God help me if they can go there, and I hope they fucking crush Terzic in Dortmund. I hope they slaughter them. I cannot wait for this game tomorrow. All right, Reyna and Turner were both in the 18, didn't play. It's no need to panic, no need to freak out, no need to say this was a horrible move. They did the smart thing. Nuno did the smart thing. He brought in more defensive players at the end of the game to shore up the win. Why would you put Reyna on? Why? You wouldn't. He's an offensive guy.
Fair enough. I made the argument many a times, especially since World Cup, that sometimes you can run out the game by parking the bus, or you can run out the game by ruling possession. And I'm not saying that they would have ruled possession if Reyna came in. I think he would have certainly helped. And the big problem was you brought in Yates, and Yates is a defensive more workhorse,
right?
And he just hook smash.
Right.
Caused a couple of fouls outside the box.
Yeah.
More and more, once he came in, they had more and more corner kicks at the very end of the match, which could have capitalized in a game winner or a game tie. Well, game tire in the end, because they ended up winning at the very end of the game. But it could have been a game winner at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you in the sense that I suspected that when we were sitting there about the 80th minute and stuff, I'm like, Nuno's going to bring in a defensive option.
Yeah.
And run out the game. Whatever. I mean, I expected that. The big thing is people are sitting there going like, well, this is a bad move. I mean, he doesn't fit the system and stuff like that. I think Sargent. I think Reyna could have easily have come in and taken the place for Lenga or Adoy, and it wouldn't have been much of a drop in play, or even White for that matter. The problem is all three of them are playing well right now.
And all three
Reyna
of them
came in, and they all came in. They're all playing well.
All three of them are either at the club, not permanently signed, or with option to buy. So
that's the one thing I'm agreeing with Tack now. I've kind of fallen into that line of thought process why does Nuno even consider? Why would Nuno even be considering to play Reyna more? He's got a great offensive option off the bench if they're down a goal or if they need to score a goal to win.
And guess what? They're going to have that situation a lot going forward in this season. So don't worry about it. There are going to be plenty of games that Nottingham Forest are behind, and they need a goal to get a tie, or it's tied and they need a win. And they will be playing and bringing in Gio Reyna. They will. So let's not panic yet. Let's not.
And all indications from listening to all the different Forest podcasts indicate is that Reyna is performing incredibly well at practice. So he's making a good impression with Nuno. He's just, again, the problem is that the three players that he's going to be vying playing time against are playing well right now. They're scoring goals. They're playing English style soccer and everything, or football. And it's tough for him to crack at this point. And I think once he gets an opportunity, he might crack it. But But even then, why would Nuno want to necessarily consistently play him?
He'll get to play.
I think he'll get to play. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Ream 75 pulled out after 75 because Bassi is back from injury and they wanted to get him some minutes, which probably means that Ream will lose the starting spot once Bassi is fit. That's the omen there. But Jedi went 90 with him. Jedi had an assist, but they still lost the game, unfortunately for me. Reggie Cannon in the 18. Matthew Hoppy in the 18 for Middlesbrough. That's 2 games in a row.
Hey,
there have been a Matthew Hoppy sighting. We already talked about Sargent at length, so I won't get into that anymore. And also Horvath in the loss on the other side.
I guess we reiterate that Sargent did score a goal. Two goals, actually.
He scored 2 goals in the win. Dwayne Holmes is injured still. Haji Wright, 90 in the win. Didn't really score or anything, but he contributed. Gooch, 70 in that loss against Haji. Sabi, 45 in a loss for the Havre. Paredes, 90 in a tie for Wolfsburg. Again, like, he had some really good moments, but too often the plays on the other side of the field.
He has moments and flashes, but then there's just long stretches of ghosting, and not necessarily blaming it on him in that front.
Right. It's like, because it's the plays all on the other side of the field.
Yeah.
So it's like you're watching the game for Paredes and you're bored as fuck.
Exactly. Well, and I've had to turn off the last 2 matches because I came back 2 matches ago.
The one before it was even worse.
Yeah. With all the stoppage time they've had and everything like that, I'm like, all right, enough of that, but yeah, I mean, promising player. He's going to continue to play. This is great that he's gotten consistent starts. Let's hope it continues.
Right. And he's even come out now in the German media and said, I know I need to put on muscle. I know I need to work out. I need to not just be fit because I'm really fit. I need to have more muscle mass on me so I can't be pushed around. He said it, not me. Brendan Aronson, we already talked about with his goal. And the win for Union Berlin, a massive win for them. And
had two wins in a row now. So they're slowly but surely eking their way back up, avoiding that relegation concern.
Last 7 or 8 games have been really decent for Union Berlin. So, as a former Berliner, this is great. When I was a kid, all the Berlin teams sucked. They sucked. So, you had to root for somebody else because we were stationed near Frankfurt at one point.
What do you think is going to happen when PFOC comes back at the end of the season?
Yeah, I think he'll be loaned out again, probably, or sold on. And I mean, he needs to do more with Gladbach, but you know what? It's not on PFOC.
I think he's doing quite well with Gladbach. He's just injured.
No, he played. He played the full 90.
Saying.
But
I'm just saying he's endured injury this season, but he's scoring some goals. That's nice.
He did, but the drought for Gladbach in general scoring continues. They've been trying every trick under the fuck, changing formations, playing different wingers, trying to do something to create any offensive opportunities. So it's not on PFOC because, dude, he got one opportunity the whole game, and he almost scored.
How many times in this season so far have we come here on Monday and said, wow, PFOC missed a sitter?
Yeah, he didn't miss a sitter. Happen. In fact, it would have been an amazing goal had he scored it, but he got up there, got his head on the ball, and he missed. It happens. But it's about all he got. He didn't get many chances because Gladbach are fucking incompetent in the final third. They're horrible this season. And this is what happens when you get rid of a really good coach like Farka for having a middle-of-the-road season, and now you're sitting near the bottom of the table because you got rid of a guy who kept you in the middle of the table. But that wasn't good enough because the grass is always fucking greener, and now Farka is over there at Leeds kicking ass and taking fucking names and probably going to get Leeds promoted. Well done, Gladbach. Well done. All right. Brooks was in the 18, by the way, in that game versus Union Berlin. Did not. Again, it really is circumstantial whether or not, and we'll hope that Matarazzo keeps his job after this.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was on the hot seat if they weren't going to win this match.
We'll see if he's still sitting on the bench this next game, because all the rumors are he's out. He's outie. And, they knew they were going to play against a pretty aggressive Union Berlin team who need points. And, no Brooks. There you go.
Again, that just seems harsh. And we were talking about how well he was doing prior to his drought of recent. And Hoffenheim is still sitting ninth. I mean, I know that obviously the last relegation spot is sitting at 16 and all, but
8 games though in a row, it's a pretty bad drought.
It's not great. I agree.
I wouldn't get rid of him because just look what what's happened to Gladbach this season after getting rid of what was a pretty competent team last year with Farka. So who gets fired first, Tuchel or Matarazzo? I hope fucking Tuchel does, motherfucker.
Didn't Tuchel say something along the lines that he's available to be coaching at like Barcelona or something like that?
Can I?
One of the big teams out there.
Can I just say how much I despise Thomas Tuchel as a person, as a whiny fucking bitch in the media, and as a coach who constantly never takes responsibility at all. But it's always the players for Thomas Tuchel. He's a rat. I can't stand that guy.
The most recent loss or tie or whatever it was on Pulisic. So
probably he did. No, they lost 3-2 against the worst team in the Bundesliga, or arguably the worst team in the Bundesliga. They lost 3-2 this weekend. I fucking celebrated. Fuck Thomas Tuchel. Fuck Bayern.
Tony is saying, Tony Banderas. Not saying, who the hell said it? Shit. Here, it was Antonio Banderas. Yeah, Tuchel ain't getting fired. Bayern is sitting something like 6 to 7 points or more actually at this point behind Leverkusen.
Go read the papers. All the papers in Germany are talking about Tuchel's going to get fired.
Well, yeah, this is like one of those rare seasons in the Bundesliga where Bayern doesn't win the league.
Their only problem is who comes in and takes over for him. Going to be burning folks, some ancient 90-year-old guy. Who are you going to bring in to replace him in this moment of desperation? Yeah, and they're out of the picture now behind Bayer Leverkusen. This is unacceptable. When Klinsmann was in third?
Oh, dude.
Or fourth? He got fired immediately.
Dude, so we're like, they're 8 points behind Leverkusen. And you're like, and it's over. So at this point, would you say that Bayern's probably not going to win the league?
If Bayer Leverkusen continues to play the way they are playing, there is no way Bayern are catching them.
So I made the same comment, and I forgot who Juve lost to after the Inter loss. It was a loss they shouldn't have lost to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, or maybe it was a draw. But either way, I made the comment, I go, and with this result, they basically just handed Inter the Scudetto.
Absolutely.
And I got lambasted by somebody like, oh, why don't you just go watch EPL because that's what the type of mentality that they have, type of thing. And I'm like, it's true. Because unless Inter goes through some stupid spell that they haven't displayed at all this season, they've lost one game. Dude. Unless Inter goes through some stupid spell where they lose multiple games, there's no chance of Juve catching up. No chance.
I wouldn't worry about morons like that who live in a fucking Disney World who think that, well, I love Juve, so I'm going to continue to jerk off here in the corner and believe. I'm going to believe, like that sign in the back on my wall says believe. Well, let them believe and jerk off all they want. Doesn't matter. It's over. Juve ain't winning. All right? They're not going to win the Scudetto.
Well, Allegri came out and said our goal this season wasn't to win the league. It was to get back to Champions League.
Allegri's already thrown in the towel and said, yeah, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
We were never here for the big ending, splash shot anyhow. We were here to just get in Champions League.
We just want to get back to Champions League, and then next season when I'm not here.
Dude, you're not I encountered a dude just like that on X too, who was basically just giving Brendan Aronson the biggest continuous reach around, and it's been going. And then he's like, well, if so-and-so, who was the manager at Leeds before Jesse got there? Forgot his fucking name all of a sudden. The legend.
Starts with B, right?
Bielsa. So thank you.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
He's like, if Bielsa thinks he's a quality player, then he is a quality player, and he will always be, and he'll be just as good as Sargent and everybody else on that. like, dude, no, that's not how this works. But anyhow, you want to cash in on a player and all your chips, which I will never push all my chips on a player. Never, ever. Even Reina, injuries can happen. I've learned my lesson. Don't push all your chips in on one player. Just don't do it. Not all of them. You can push 80% in, 75%, but don't go all the way. Foreplay is good enough, right?
Yeah. And hey, and Aaron's in the right system could work out incredibly well. He just obviously has to pack on a couple pounds and not flop like a fish. But in the right system, he can perform incredibly well.
He's great in Austria.
I think he was solid enough in
we saw moments.
Again, if Bamford would have put a couple of those away, we'd be talking completely different. I mean, we'd still be talking about him flopping around like a fish because he's 90 pounds wet. But you'd be saying, well, he's got like 5 assists in the EPL. That's not bad.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
But
we can't. Yeah, I mean, Bamford had a horrible season. That's plain and simple. He's not having one now. He's back. Maloney, 90 minutes and a loss for Heidenheim, but still a tight-ass game. He's all over the place. Maloney's wherever the ball is on defense. Scally, 59, and Pifok, 90 in a loss. Again, we already talked about the impotence that is Mönchengladbach going forward. McKennie, 90, and Weah, 8 in a tie. And that was just a hard game to watch, frankly.
Ugly match to watch.
And this wasn't one of McKennie's shining moments. He didn't have a bad game, but he's been a superstar on this team this season. And he wasn't a superstar this weekend. He was just there.
It was one of those things you can say, like, well, he did this and this wrong. You're just watching it going like, they're not really utilized. He's not really getting utilized.
Yeah, he's not getting the ball.
When he got the ball, he'd make the pass off and stuff like that. I'm sure if you look at his stats, his passing percentage was perfectly fine and everything like that. But he wasn't being. They played down the left predominantly
the whole game. And when he did run into open space, and I saw this and watched it numerous times because it's easy to follow on the pitch because of his hair and the way he runs. They just didn't get him the ball. And it must have been really frustrating for him.
Yeah.
So, and
it was a horrific match to watch. I mean, Juve had their chances and did not capitalize, and then we just allowed too many opportunities on our goals. I say our goal, but their goal.
Right. As TAC calls it, soccer terrorism. Luca De La Torre went 9 in a loss, and people are like, "Oh, yeah, he's on this horrible team." They fucking went head to head with Barca, dude. And I mean,
he only played 9 minutes.
No, Luca Del Torre played 90 minutes.
Oh, you said 9.
Oh, he played the full game. They lost, but it wasn't because of him, and he had a great game. So everybody who's saying, "Oh, forget him" or whatever, he's on a horrible team. That team competed against Barca. Now, granted, this isn't your grandma's Barca. However, still a good team. Kate Cowell did not dress. Fernando Arce went 55 for Necaxa. And Polvara was in the 18 and back from his injury for Aberdeen, but didn't play. We move on to Sunday. We got Trusty, who went 60 in a loss. Balogun, 71 in a loss. Chandler is in the 18 again, did not play. Pulisic and went 45. We already kind of talked about this. He got an assist. He got a goal. He was the man of the fucking match. He was awesome. Fucking great, because they had to go to his wing because Leao didn't look like he wanted to be out there, frankly. So they had to go down his wing. They passed him the ball. He got the ball. He should be getting more of the ball in all the games, not less. He shouldn't be out there frustrated going, "Pass me the fucking ball," because that's what's been happening lately. It's all down Leao's wing, all of it. And it's irritating to watch. It's like you got a whole nother side of the field you can play on.
His chemistry with Giroud is nice to see, though.
It is.
It's nice to see him working with a striker that wants to work with him, and it's nice.
And we already talked about Jovic's stupid red card. What an idiot. That cost them the game, even though they did manage to tie it up 2-2, and then it just all fell apart.
I'm sure it didn't help, but they got 2-2, and then they let in 2 goals in stoppage time. So
yeah, that was really painful to watch.
Pinch that shit up, man, if you're down a
well, it's because Pulisic scored in the 88th, right? Where's it somewhere around there? And then immediately they give up a goal.
Yep.
And it's,
and
it was a beauty of a goal where Pulisic cuts inside and kicks it with his left, his supposedly less strong foot. It doesn't look less strong to me. And that's why he can play out on the right wing, is because his left foot is a piece of artwork. Cardoso, 90 and a tie. We kind of talked about that game too. It was a snoozer. He played fine. Zero Leslam went 76 for St. Truden in a loss to Anderlecht. Slonina, 90 for Eupen in a loss. Taylor Booth, 22 and then injured. We already talked about that. That's really sad. Zach Booth, 82 in a tie versus Paxton Aronson's Vitesse. Paxton Aronson went 90 again in the dual pivot. Not in any of the forward spots, not as a CAM, not as a striker, but in a dual pivot as holding mid role. Very odd, very weird. But you know what? They want to get him on the pitch. Alex Mendez did not dress for Vitesse, your homeboy.
So you almost missed it there, Derek.
I never missed that.
Good boy, Mendez.
Benji Michel did not dress for Aruka. There are rumors that both those players are heading back to MLS. And then Benji Michel and Alex Mendez.
Okay, the whole back two threw me for a loop there because obviously Mendez was never at MLS, but yeah.
I believe you can still go to MLS at this point. They're still doing deals, as far as I understand it.
Sure.
They don't follow the window like everybody
else. Don't follow a lot of rules, apparently.
Right. Yeah. Fabian Hertzler, the coach of St. Pauli, they're back to their winning ways as they defeat Braunschweig. And Johan Gomez went 69 for Braunschweig in that loss. Caleb Stanko did not dress for Giannina, and also talk of him going back to MLS. AJ1410, blah, 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 199. Thank you, brother. My film wrapped soccer plus extra drama. Stay tuned, y'all. My film wrapped.
X drama. So soccer plus X drama. You said extra.
What does that mean? Soccer plus X drama. My film wrapped. So you're doing a film, AJ? Hey, that's great. Whatever.
Let us know.
And it involves soccer and his ex. It's dramatic. All right, where we were, Fabian Hertzler. All right,
we send back Michel to MLS.
No, we were talking about Stanko going back to MLS too from Giannina in Greece. That's the rumor. That's a rumor, people, not truth. Busio 90 and Tessman 90 in a tie. They really in a game they should have won. Conrad did not dress for Ibar. Ex-girlfriend. Okay, cool. She's in the movie, in the film.
Appreciate his soccer fetish.
Soccer fetish. Is that the name of the movie? That's awesome.
Just saying, you just have the game playing while doing her doggy style, right? Kind of killing the mood.
Doing her doggy style. And that's actually an optimum position for ending in a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because you just lay your hand on the butt as you pull out and slap it down. All right. All right. Lucas Poss went 90 for Ushi in Switzerland. And today, Chris Richards went 90 in a tie. And Brendan Vasquez, which is really technically yesterday, went 10 in a tie. That's everybody. I probably missed somebody, but I seriously
probably.
I'm sure
you covered a lot of extras. Did we cover what Soto did this weekend?
I didn't see Soto. I didn't even look at the Austrian Bundesliga this weekend. Sorry. Apologies.
We have a couple Soto fans in there. At least Soto for.
I usually do check it. I don't know. I skipped it this weekend. Not sure why.
Well, now that our Yanks Abroad report is over,
mm-hmm.
Let's talk about important stuff.
Right on.
How MLS is trying to screw over the USSF's Open Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, is it?
We've talked about this a handful of shows back. I think we've talked about multiple shows actually.
Oh yeah, we did.
Ultimately, and we called this back in December when Garber went on his rant, and I think I even have a quote from Garber in one of the many quotes I've got up here. But this whole power play, as far as not wanting to abide by the regulations that are set by U.S. soccer, as far as your sanction as being Division I soccer in the United States, is to perform in all competitions. And the reason why MLS is pushing back is not because of any sense of fatigue, and we're going to go into this ad nauseum here, but it's not a sense of fatigue or congestion of our overall schedule.
And if it is, it's their fault.
Yeah. It's all about control and money. Because there was no complaints about the U.S. Open Cup, really, prior until some got shit canned out of U.S. soccer.
So you see the comments on X, and there's some fucking dumb motherfuckers like, well, it's a stupid-ass, crappy tournament. Fucking teams have to play in fucking high school fucking stadiums, blah, 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 against crummy teams. What do you think it's like everywhere, you dumb fuck? That's what cup play is. All the teams get in. So, yeah, you don't think Manchester United, their history, has to go play in some dinky-ass fucking stadium against some shitty team with 4,000 people, 1,000 fans?
Stadium with a half an inch, grass.
So don't use that as an excuse, you stupid prick. Yeah, it's a shitty tournament. So guess what? MLS had something to do with it being a shitty tournament because they ran the tournament. Some ran the fucking tournament. Yep. All right. Some was the marketing arm of that tournament. Did they do anything to make that tournament better when they were in control of it? When they were working for US Soccer?
They got all those games on ESPN Plus.
Yeah. So it's a joke to blame this on US Soccer when some ran it for years, and some is also MLS's marketing arm. All right. Now that relationship is over now. As of this year, it is over, but they ran that tournament into the ground. So
you know what relationship's not over is Don Garber is still on the board for US Soccer.
And Don Garber is still in control, and your fucking homeboy Nelson Rodriguez is out there.
Oh, what a piece of shit.
Flapping his fucking lips and making himself look like a fucking moron that he is. And you always knew he was a moron because he was there at Chicago Fire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a miserable handful of years plus,
Like to know where
he's out there talking all the time. You're like, what a sleazy fuckbag.
He's a sleazy douche. I bet you he has a fucking he's like a Princeton or a Harvard graduate too. I bet you $1 million.
He's definitely one of those Ivies, right?
He's an Ivy League fuckface. I would put my money on it if he isn't, because he sounds like a sleazebag wherever he goes, and fucking shit just drips off of him as he walks around. They have to hire people to clean up. Those janitors from the porn shops follow him around just to scoop up all the crap and goo that falls off of this slime bag when he walks around. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
We got the Hudson River Blue here posting an article about how MLS MLS said to be holding the U.S. Open Cup hostage.
How can they do that? All U.S. Soccer has to say is fuck you. You're going to have to do it. Fuck off. But here's the problem, Brett. The problem is that MLS owners, one owner in particular, Arthur Blake, just gave fucking U.S. Soccer $50 million to build that new U.S. Soccer training camp.
Yep.
So they kind of have to be like, oh shit, we might not get any more money.
God, what a tight and uncomfortable spot U.S. Soccer must be in, because they either have to go against somebody who paid them a shit ton of money, or they abide by that, and then they get fucked over by the NASL lawsuit that they got going on against them.
Right.
Where basically, the NASL, for those who don't know, NASL basically came out and said, "Hey, we're gonna sue you because we don't believe the whole sanctioning of divisions is fair, because we think you're in bed with MLS."
Because MLS guys are on your board. Isn't that weird? That MLS, who has, U.S. Soccer, who has MLS people on their board, get to decide that NASL isn't good enough to be sanctioned as a Division I league? That's amazing. It isn't amazing. It isn't. It's predictable. And so is this, except for there shouldn't be a way that they can hold this hostage. They can hold the cup, but
let's take a look and see how they might.
U.S. Soccer doesn't have any balls.
That's
right?
a big problem, right? But if they don't have balls, then they're going to get they're going to get sued and taken to raked over the coals.
Picture, if you will, a room, and in that room you have cutthroat motherfucker Don Garber, and then you got JT Batson, and they're having a discussion. Who do you think's going to win that discussion? Who's the cutthroat motherfucker in that room?
The Don, who's clearly part of the mafia, is going to rule that competition.
Don Garber has balls bigger than your mom. All right. Whereas JT Batson has kind of tiny balls, little marbles.
Come on, Don. Can we all play ball? God, JC's probably watching. We're never going to get women jerseys with our customized names on them.
Hey, we got invited to a game by U.S. Soccer, so let's not complain. I'm just don't think you put those two guys in a room one-on-one. I think Don Garber's a better negotiator, a more cutthroat motherfucker. So you're already one step behind with JT Batson as your figurehead. And then who's the other guy? Gal. Who's the gal?
Cindy Parlow. Go.
I mean, how nice is that gal? She's a nice person, I mean, you're dealing with cutthroat motherfucker Don Garber. The 2024 Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup is at risk of being canceled. I don't think so. It's going on. With Major League Soccer, it's 2025 we're really arguing about here. I really believe that. With Major League Soccer and U.S. Soccer, you have to come to a tenable agreement on a format for the tournament. According to multiple sources, the Division I League has the federation held hostage. And as of Friday, MLS teams are not participating. How is that possible? They can't hold them hostage. They got nothing to go unless they want to be desanctioned.
Yeah, well, that would be the thing, right? Because if MLS comes out and says, "Yeah, we're just not going to participate," well, then US's only card in their hand is either to say, well, they have one of two cards. Either go, okay, that's fine. You don't have to play this year. We'll talk about next year, though. Okay, next year you're going to play, or they can say you're going to lose your Division I sanction, and then MLS is going to come back and say, "Well, fuck you. I guess we're going to play."
They're going to have to play. I mean, This is like the famous message that the general holding Bastogne in World War II against the Germans when he was completely surrounded in the snow in this tiny town, and he sent when they sent him a message to surrender, he replied, one word, nuts. Now, I don't know what the fuck that means, but I know what one thing that Batson can do when Garber comes knocking on his door and to complain about this and say, we're not going to play. He should open the door, crack it open and go, you're playing, and suck it, and slam the door in his face and walk away because there's nothing Don and MLS can do about it. There's nothing they can do. What are they going to tear away the $15 million they've already promised to build? No, they can't do that. And we don't even know if Arthur Blank is against. Not all the MLS teams are against playing in U.S. Open Cup.
And I mean, and how bad would that look if the $50 million got pulled after they made this decision? I mean, nothing says I'm trying to bribe you, like taking money away from you after you go against a ruling that MLS is trying to weasel out of. That can't be a good look.
If I'm Batson, I'm calling your bluff, man. I'm calling your bluff. I'm telling you to suck it up and go play. We'll get back to you later. Bye. Door slammed, and then turn around and give Cindy Parlow a high five, and you're done. You walk away.
You say, I'm sorry, MLS. You're going to have to perform in the U.S. Open Cup, and it cannot be a reserve team. So here's your upcoming schedule. And if they don't provide a roster in a timely fashion for that sense, they lose their Division I status.
Yep.
And that's all you can say. Because MLS is not going to do it because that means they're going to lose all the monies.
So the other the complaint you brought up earlier was the congested schedule thing, which, MLS did to themselves because they got to come up with new Leagues Cup and all this other fucking horse shit and they're worried about travel and how it tires and fatigue of the players. Okay, here's an idea for your fuck faces. You got 30 people on your roster. Leave your starting lineup at home. Bring the other 20 guys to the game. But Leave your starting, bring 19, 18, fly 18 in. The guys that usually don't start and don't play much, play your fucking jack-off team and comply. And then the guys that play and are tired because they're playing all the time, leave them at home. Let them have a rest. How hard is this? This is not hard. It's not difficult. I mean, most of the teams early in the stages of the cup play their backup teams anyhow. They play their B teams.
I mean, shit. I mean, you don't even have. Let's assume you don't even want to take the U.S. Open Cup seriously. You don't even care if you flame out in the first round of what you're being required to play. Just send 15 players.
That's all you need.
And then you know what? You've got 11 on the pitch. That means you have 4 subs you can make. And you know what? Maybe players play out of position. But you know what? At that point, the 4 players are those 26 through 30 roster spots that see no playing time and probably get loaned out to some USL team for the season. They would love to get those minutes. They would love to.
All that to say, it's not really a problem because there are solutions to the problem if you're an MLS team. You just keep the guys that are playing regular at home and send 15 to 18 players that don't play that much to the cup games. Problem solved.
And why doesn't MLS comes up with their Mickey Mouse rules all the time? Why don't they just say, hey, rosters can fluctuate. There's going to be a new spot between the 31 and 35 where we can bring up players from our reserve team up to our senior squad when needed.
I think
we're already paying them money to play. So why don't we just make this fictional roster rule?
That rule already exists because, like, when LAG a couple of years ago played in the cup, and I watched the game, they had 3 or 4 players from the reserve club. That Dutch kid that never amounted to anything that used to play with Matt Miazga in the Holland back in the day. And he went to LAG. I don't know where he's at now. I can't remember his name, but he never amounted to a hill of beans. And he got to play, and he was on the Galaxy 2 team. So I believe those rules are already there. But now this bullshit excuse that, well, we also want to give our reserve 2 teams a chance to play against grown men. Well, you fucked yourself on that anyhow because you wouldn't pay a simple fee to stay in USL. So this is all fuckface. If you look at it from any angle, MLS are they're wrong and they're lying, and it's about control, as you said earlier.
Yep, it's all a lie. If the concern was whether or not you can get your your Academy Plus kids, which are the 2 teams, right. Your 2 teams competition against professional teams because that was their goal, then you should have probably just ponied up the $5 million or whatever the fuck USL was asking for to have a team, and they could play grown fucking adults week in, week out. Instead, they're playing a bunch of 23-year-olds or less.
Yep.
And week in, week out, and then you're throwing a hissy fit because you can't have your cake and eat it too by throwing them into the U.S. Open Cup.
Yeah, you're the ones, dickless wonders at MLS, that pulled out of USL to make your own little bullshit league because they didn't want to pay the $3 million per team to stay in. Each team would have had to pay $3 million. That's the number I once saw. I don't know if it was correct, but that's all they had to pay to stay in the league. That's all USL wanted. Just give us $3 million, and you guys are permanent members of USL. Your 2 teams can play against grown men. Instead of now you going off to start Next Pro or whatever the fucking bullshit they call it, this language that they always come up with, these Ivy League half-wits. Like, we know what it is, dumb shit. You can't fool us by calling it MLS Next Pro. Like, we know what it is. It's your little junior teams. Your hairless fucking wonder teams with no hair on their fucking nuts are going to be playing against other teams with no hair on their nuts, and they're not going to get any better. When they were playing against grown men in USL, grown men, they were learning their trade. That's why you have a lot of young players now. They don't want to sign with MLS Next Pro teams. They're going to go sign with a fucking USL team and get real time and get looked at by Europe. We have players in USL going to Europe now. We can name a bunch of them that are doing that and making that transition. So,
and it's obviously it's a bit different in that sense where the people that are going to USL instead of MLS are going there because they can sign for 1-2 year contracts or whatever.
Correct.
And they can get sold immediately. They
you
go on, they play for a year
soul
until they're 18, and then at that point they're sold off.
Right.
Yeah, the funny thing is the amount of money that the USL was asking for, which was a prorated expansion fee, like back from when those MLS clubs were joined USL initially
for free.
Well, they joined for free, but then the expansion cost at that point was like $5 million. And they went back and they prorated. That's like it's like 10 or 20 million at this point.
It's 30. I think it's 30 to get. I think it's 30 to get into USL. Yeah,
fair enough. But my point is that they got a prorated amount. That $5 million or less or whatever they were going to pay for, I guarantee you they're spending more than that running that new MLS Next Pro League.
And they even offered to them they could pay it over time. So it's not like you had to dump the $3 million right away. You could pay like $500,000 a year, right? It's ridiculous.
Like I think they're spending that much money anyways on a yearly basis.
So really, the other object here outside of control for MLS is also to continue to fuck USL in the asshole.
Yeah,
and they love doing that. They love it by putting new MLS teams where there are already USL teams and fucking that USL team over in San Diego most recently. So, I mean, they're trying to create a monolith, a monopoly where they're the only game in town, which is called a monopoly, by the way, in other places. All right. Interestingly, Reuters article mentioned that the U.S. Open Cup Committee joined the ongoing discussion last week. However, when asked, a member of the committee commented that the committee has been left in the dark from the beginning of the MLS announcement. That committee member noted that fellow member David Applegate, U.S. Soccer Director competitions, were not included, and one of them just resigned from the committee.
Yeah, I'll pull it up here in a second, but yeah.
Okay.
So it's just hysterical that the U.S. Open Cup Committee was included late in the conversation, but they're left in the dark. They weren't included in the most recent discussions.
They're left in the dark because this is a conversation between Batson, Parlo Cone, and your boy Nelson Dumbfuck Rodriguez. And
you keep throwing people in my camp like they're my buddies.
And well, he was in Chicago and fucked your team over for years. Don Garber,
I appreciate that. Makes him my buddy, I guess.
Don Sludge Fest shit fuck Garber.
Don Gobbler.
Yeah. They're having this discussion between themselves. They don't want to include. They don't want it to be an inclusive conversation with all the committee members at U.S. Soccer. They don't want this to be a professional learning community. Brett, this is a great example of all the falsehoods that U.S. Soccer always talking about. Oh, we will build a community of leadership. We want to have everybody hear everybody's voice. We want to get people involved in decision making. Fuck you. You're a sack of fucking shit. You're so full of shit. It's unbelievable. Your own committees are calling you out. Some of the committee leaders are resigning because you didn't include them in the fucking conversation, you twats. So quit. You show us one face, and then behind the other face is another face. You're fucking liars. U.S. Soccer, you're liars. We already know MLS is self-involved and selfish, so this is not surprising. But don't lie to us. Don't lie to your own committee members and keep them in the dark and then tell them to stand down. They were told to stand down.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about, I guess we can talk about that, I guess.
Our good friend, Jeff.
We'll get into his article as well. He talks about this, and it'll probably come up in a quote later on. But yeah, Arthur Madison
has resigned as chairman of the USSF's U.S. Open Cup Committee. He said that he was asked to stand down by higher-ups on multiple occasions in terms of finding a solution as it relates to MLS participation, says the Cup is in grave danger. Yeah, I bet. And you know what? If I'm Arthur Madison, I'd resign too. I'd be like, you guys are so full of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about this all being a group decision that we're all going to make together.
I'd archive my emails.
Yeah.
Then turn them and say, fuck you here. I'm giving myself a pink slip. I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'd be talking to the most reputable non-mainstream pundit out there.
I mean, I wouldn't
go on with anybody. I mean, I'm going to throw the Athletic out there because I like some of their content, but I know some people here don't like the Athletic by any means. I wouldn't be talking with ESPN. I don't trust them.
Well, Herc and Seb.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess they are ESPN, aren't they?
I think I mean, you could talk to probably lots of people on ESPN. I mean, when it comes to their soccer coverage, they're generally all right. I mean, you could talk to who's the former Venezuelan player's name? I always forget. But anyhow, you could talk to him. You could talk to Herb. You could talk to Seb. So they would give you, I think, a fair assessment of this. But yeah, you got committee members being told to stand down. This is atrocious, dude. Like, this is the opposite of an open discussion at U.S. Soccer. That's what drives me more nuts than anything about this. Is they are such fakers. They're such a fucking sack of shit of bullshit. They fake. All their shit is fake. They are fake motherfuckers. They don't really want to have a discussion. They don't really want the committee to be involved because they're not important enough to make this important decision. It's just going to be between the heads of MLS and the heads of fucking U.S. Soccer.
Well, and they talk about that they were talking about the new committee that got this. I think I have a quote about this, but the new committee, if they make a decision as far as the cup is concerned, they don't even need to get the board's approval.
Right.
For it. So I'm like, what's the fucking point of having the U.S. Soccer Board, and what's the point of having a soccer committee handling the U.S. Open Cup if they're not even involved in the discussion and don't make a yay or nay?
A very important discussion, apparently, and they've been told to stand down.
Well, stand down for trying to come up with possible solutions.
Right.
Which begs the question is, why don't they want to find out? Why don't they want to have a possible a solution for this?
Well,
because MLS doesn't want to compete in this stupid tournament, in their opinion, and they want the tournament to go away so that they can control any form of possible tournament that they can make money and control about. So
here's the best way to look at it. If you like JT Batson, all right, here's the only positive way to look at that. JT Batson's basically telling the committee, I don't fucking care about making a solution. Fuck solution. They're playing the fucking Open Cup, period. There is going to be no further discussion. There will be no solutions to make it easier on them. There'll be no, remolding and reshaping the competition to, suit their needs. Fuck Don Garber. I'm JT Batson. I'm making a power play, and I'm telling you guys to stand the fuck down, shut the fuck up, and stop talking about it. It is what it is. They're going to play in it, and they can go fucking fart in a corner, and I don't care. They're playing this thing. That's the only positive way to take this. Yes, Ali Moreno. Why do I always forget Ali's name? I really like Ali Moreno. I know people don't like him. I love him. I also like Craig Burley. I love Craig Burley. I like grouchy people. So there you go. I like everybody on that show actually because they're grumpy, including Stevie. MLS did not like either party's proposal because they still included the involvement of majority of the first teams. I mean, it's not written in stone. You don't have to bring your starting 11. You could seriously let them stay at home.
Well, I think when they say first teams, they mean the senior squad, the 30. They're talking about like non-MLS Next Pro. Is what they're saying. As
you and I have just stated, you can send 15, 18 players to a game and say, "Oh yeah, we got a big COVID thing going on, or the flu's flying around, and
a lot of stubbed toes and twisted ankles."
Yeah, and the whole starting lineup's out. So, we're going to send 18. Those are the 18 healthy guys we got. We had a flu just spread through the whole locker room. Everybody's got a cold. Yeah, you can do that in the early rounds, and fucking they practically have been doing it.
That's what they've been doing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Despite the waiver rejection by U.S. Soccer, the Federation still appears to be on the back heel. I don't know. We'll see. While Division I sanctioning guidelines require MLS to compete in U.S. Open Cup, desanctioning it would have a huge butterfly effect, including ironically aiding the North American Soccer League in its ongoing antitrust lawsuit, which has been going on for 3 years?
I think there may be a typo here because desanctioning MLS would not benefit the NSL lawsuit because that would indicate that this is not biased. By canceling the U.S. Open Cup or not including MLS teams in there, but without removing the sanction, would benefit the lawsuit. So
yeah,
I think maybe a typo here.
Could be, because you're right. If, they just sucked up and did what MLS wanted, that would be like, well, then obviously this is a monopoly. So, you got Pete.
So yeah, Pete had a show. I asked him because he went off on a little rant on Twitter about this, and I'm like, hey, we're covering this topic tonight. If you want to join us, and then like 15 minutes later, he's launching a live stream. I'm like, well, I guess that means you're going to rant on your own show, so it makes sense. So,
did he reply?
Yeah. He laughed and he said tonight would have been a bad night. It's date night. I'm like, I hope the missus doesn't mind the Straight Red Card show playing in the background though.
Well, and he just got back from Chicago and he's been working for weeks.
He talked about that in this episode too. But
yeah.
So the two clips I have are basically him going off on a rant against MLS and USSF as a whole.
Okay.
And I thought that it was fun to listen to because I figured we were going to hit up a lot of the same points that he was going to talk about anyways. So let's just listen to a nice, fun rant.
Okay. I love a rant. Good rant.
And you're like, fuck these lower division teams in the United States. We only care about the money. All right. We don't care about the growth of the game. They talk about it like they care about the growth of the game. They do not. They made that very clear. And now we're tired because this fake competition we made up in order to try to get some more money and try to squeeze the juice out of every soccer loving fan that we can possibly do is better than the US Open Cup. Right. So it's nothing to do with fatigue. And I'll talk.
So it's nothing to do with fatigue. And you'll talk about that in a second. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. So far, so good.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It's basic. It's all about the money.
It's money and control and control. You mentioned control either as well.
It's absolutely control because if MLS is not controlling it, they can't make the money they want to make, and that's something we'll talk about here in just a bit.
And it's so weird. They had control of it for years with some.
Yeah, it's weird they weren't throwing the sissy fit 2 years ago,
and that people aren't pointing that out. Nobody's pointing out that some who was the mutual marketing arm of both MLS and US Soccer was running the cup and ran it into the ground and never really gave it much attention. So, it isn't like if you're like, well, MLS just want to play because it's shitty. Well, MLS was responsible. The some arm of MLS was responsible for building it up and they failed. So it's shitty because MLS made it shitty. And it isn't shitty anyhow. Everybody has to go play against somebody with 2,000 fans in the stands or 500 people in the stands. It happens in England, Germany. It happens everywhere.
And the big thing is that it's not like it was a shitty tournament or anything. It's just that MLS and some didn't advertise it and try to improve it at all.
They did
because again, they were happy to let it run its course while they still had control of the marketing aspect arm of it. But once USSF said, nah, we don't need you anymore, some, we're going to branch away from you, then all of a sudden some had no control of it. Why in the world would MLS want to participate in a tournament that they have no control in?
And then you have the odd contradiction that Cindy Parlow-Cone was the CEO of some during those years. And now she's the president of USSF. So it's like
what a clusterfuck, really.
What a complete incest fest. You talk about incest? This should be illegal. This is so much incest. I mean, Jesus, we're going to have a bunch of people with mental disorders and fucking deformities kind of come out of this because there's so much incest in this.
All right, here's the last little clip.
But it's not about resting players and it's not about fatigue. Because if they did that, they wouldn't have started the League's Cup if they really cared about resting players and fatigue. What this is about is killing lower division soccer in this country so that MLS can swoop in and have a full monopoly in this country. Complete regulatory capture of the U.S. Soccer Federation and complete regulatory capture of all soccer in this country, that it would be run by billionaires, the vast majority of whom do not give a flying fuck about the proliferation and the growth of grassroots soccer in this country. It is a business. It is a monetary thing for them. Yep. This is how serious this is, guys. I am not being hyperbolic here. They have shown their hand, and U.S. Soccer is currently showing their belly.
We don't know about the belly part yet. As I just said, what we don't know is whether or not JT Batson told the committee to fuck off and stop trying to make a compromise because he's giving fucking Garber the middle finger. That would be, like I said, the best case scenario. But we don't know that. to be true or untrue at this point. He might have said to the committee, you're not going to work out a solution. You're not going to compromise. Fuck him. They're going to play in this goddamn tournament. If they don't, we're calling their bluff. Now that's the best case scenario. And
I would resign in that situation though. If my boss is basically saying we're not going to meet a middle ground, they're going to play or they're going to lose their sanction at that point. Why would I say, well, I'm just going to leave?
Well, as somebody had mentioned earlier, some of the committee members in that particular committee are actually pro MLS. And so he might just say, well, no, we're not negotiating. This is done. The fucking committee can shut down. There is no compromise going to be had here. Now that would I would send JT Batson a big balls of the year award. It would be a fucking trophy with 2 giant testicles on it. And I'd mail it to him this week. If in fact, that is confirmed that is what he did.
You're going to buy him one of the testicles so he can hang on the back of his truck?
No, I'm going to fucking make a mold of my own testicles and send it to him. Except I'm going to have it enlarged, have the testicles enlarged graphically. So I'm going to mold them because I don't really have like massive testicles. So, yeah. I'm not Kenny Childers. If you're out there, Kenny, sorry.
This is what MLS is floating to USSF at this point. One of the things they're trying to push for.
This is horrendous, dude. A 60-40 revenue split with smaller. So the smaller teams need these games because it helps them stay afloat. Yep. These cup games. And now the number being floated with 64 revenue split for any match in which an MLS team traveled to a lower division opponent. What a bunch of fucking
what happened to
leeches.
What if a lower division team goes to MLS? Do they get the 60-40?
I don't think so.
No, it's only if MLS goes to these lower teams, right?
Yeah, apparently if MLS shows up, an MLS team shows up in your town to play against you, you need to get on your knees, suck their fucking cock, but not just suck it. You got to deep throat that shit. It's got to be, you got to finish them off, and then you got to hand them 60% of the revenue after the game's over.
You know why most of the time when they're playing lower division teams, MLS teams go to the lower division team to play? Because it's not worth the operating expense to open up the stadium that you normally play week in, week out for a USL game. It doesn't make sense financially. So you go and play at this other place where you just have to worry about travel, which coincidentally is covered by the
US Soccer. By US Soccer.
Covered.
Well, a portion of it is. I don't know how much of it is, but certainly a good part of it is covered. I don't know exactly what the number is. So, yeah, it's sad. It's greedy. It's kind of slimy, but Nelson Rodriguez, has this douchey, slimy, covered fingers all over this.
All over.
Sperm smothered hands all over this thing. A source close to USL side of the situation has said Major League Soccer is not looking for a true solution to the Open Cup problem, despite saying player fatigue and schedule congestion are the main issues, because that's a lie. The league and its player association refused to change roster rules to allow more players.
They refused. So that's clearly the fatigue's not the issue. If you're going to say, nah, we don't need to change our roster rules.
But again, we've explained this 1,000 times. Just leave your starters at home and fly 15 guys in to play the game. How hard is this? Additionally, the demanded changes to the tournament are so extreme, they won't be considered practical. Well, we don't know what those are.
Well, we know the 60-40, and that's part of it, I guess.
Well, that's ridiculous. And if it is the case that JT Basson has slammed his door shut and given Garber the finger, told him to suck it up and go play, then good for him. But we won't know that. And I hope they come out with a comment or a statement here soon, because the big guys need to stand up to Cindy, and he need to stand up and make a comment at this point, because this is spreading like wildfire.
Well, if this article is to be believed, and this is from Jeff Carlisle at the ESPN.
Is blackmail mentioned?
Probably. If this article is to be believed, U.S. Soccer does in fact show their bellies slightly, which is what Pete was suggesting was going to happen.
Okay.
So let's dive into this one real quick.
Go ahead, Brett. You read it. My mouth is dry.
Preliminary plans for the 2024 edition of the U.S. Open Cup have been approved by a subcommittee of the U.S. Soccer Federation Board of Directors, though the tournament likely won't look like recent editions, a source close to U.S. Soccer told ESPN. The source indicated that the complete details are still being ironed out, but the decision to have the tournament in 2024 has been made, and what will likely be the final approval is a hybrid type of tournament with not every MLS team participating.
Okay, that's happened before.
Yeah, a long time ago, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2011?
A long time ago.
Okay. There was a play-in to get into U.S. Open Cup, basically, in MLS. Not every team qualified for MLS Cup.
We do what? Say it again?
So, in a prior year, and I don't remember which one, not every MLS team made the U.S. Open Cup. There was a play-in, not almost like a playoff to get into it between MLS teams. I don't know how they did it, but then they decided, okay, based on records, these teams get in and these teams don't. So not every team participated in U.S. Open Cup. You had to qualify for U.S. Open Cup.
I mean, yeah, they do talk about how that was a system they used in years past, but not necessarily consistently.
No, it's not consistent.
But that again, that seems strange because obviously every other team in the United States can automatically qualify and play into this tournament. Why is it just an MLS thing? I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't say back then, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and it's not been consistent. So the source added, the plan calls the Federation to make its largest financial investment ever to ease the cost of travel and assist with promotion, especially for lower division teams. The source also indicated this format would be for 2024 only, and there are only discussions with all and there are ongoing discussions with all stakeholders about working collaboratively to find a more permanent format for the tournament long term. Okay.
One that benefits MLS more so than anybody else.
My guess is actually it's going to go on like normal this year. It's too late in the game to make all kinds of newfangled changes.
Well, they just indicated that that not all MLS teams are going to be participating. I imagine most likely the ones that are going to be participating in the Champions League will probably not be included.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to decide that or whatever it is, but I really hope my best case scenario is actually the case scenario. It probably isn't. I don't know there's two situations here. Either U.S. Soccer is showing their belly or they're not. So I think we need to wait for a statement.
You're right. This could be them buying themselves time at this point. Maybe they don't necessarily want to burn bridges and they're hoping that they can negotiate or something like that. So they're saying, well, we're going to make a hybrid type tournament.
Yeah, the confusing part about this article from Jeff Carlisle is we just heard in another article that the committee's been told to stand down and stay the fuck out of the way and not make any more goddamn, don't compromise.
That was also from Carlisle. I think it's in this article too.
So, and now we're being told, yeah, they are actually talking and compromising. So to me, that's a contradiction. I can't. I don't know if you see it the way I see it, but this seems like a contradiction to the earlier comment we read.
What the hybrid type of tournament does is it prevents them from either canceling the tournament or moving the Division I sanction. And that benefits USS Soccer with the ongoing lawsuit with the ASL. So they can extend that out another year while they try to work out a plan or try to convince MLS to say, "Hey guys, this is the longest running tournament in U.S. history. Instead of working against us, we should all be working to make this the best damn tournament in the world."
Yep,
not in the world, but at least in the United States.
Right. I mean, it's not going to be better than FA Cup. It's not going to be better than the Pokal but.
Those nations actually take that tournament serious, relatively speaking, I guess.
Yeah,
they still play the reserves and stuff like that early, and then they play their big boys when they get to the finals.
Right. They play. I guess you can call it the reserves, but the guys don't usually get a lot of playing time. Like Brendan Paxton got to start in a Pokal game this season, and he's not a starter. And of course, now he's so out of the picture. He's been loaned out to Vitesse. So, but yeah, that's usually when you give those guys a shot. That could still be the case here for MLS. They got 30-man rosters. Now, not everybody takes advantage and has 30, but I mean, some have 26, some have 28. When asked if he thought MLS was above playing in the Open Cup, Garber said, you better read that.
Yeah. He says, what has happened over time with the tournament has not resonated enough with fans and commercial partners and sponsors, and certainly media partners in a way to justify the level of participation that had been required of us in the past. And over time, MLS has come into the tournament at different levels. We've had different number of teams, all ways that the league and the federation and the U.S. Open Cup Committee, I guess, have worked to try to ensure the tournament is working for everybody. So, Derek, I've got a question. If it's not resonating with, I'm going to stick with Fire because why not? Because it's mine. If the U.S. Open Cup isn't resonating with Fire fans, does that mean that the cup, the way it's working, is just not resonating with fans in general?
It means that some, when they ran the tournament, failed to help it resonate.
Yeah. It just means that you guys have fucked up, because I can tell you from experiencing this for a number of years while we worked as the heads of BYB, U.S. Open Cups matches were resonating with all fans. We sold out of every one of those matches.
They were huge.
Yeah. Massive matches. So it's resonating with fans. It may not necessarily resonating with your fans because you're not doing a goddamn thing for it.
Because you don't, to you it's not important. But Indy 11, when the Open Cup and an MLS team was coming to town, those games were fucking packed in Indianapolis. We cared, but we cared because our club built the game up. They made a huge fucking deal of it. It was on all the radio stations. It was on your fucking TV, local TV stations, promoting the game. But you guys don't promote the game. And MLS, even though you had the marketing arm of MLS, also running U.S. Soccer's marketing arm for years, not doing anything to boost and grow the U. So it's on you, MLS. It's really funny. It's like, oh, we blame you, U.S. Soccer. Well, wait a minute. Your marketing arm ran our marketing for up to like just recently. So you're blaming us, but you guys were responsible for doing it because you were the marketing team. In fact, our president was the CEO of your marketing team, and she's now here as our president of U.S. Soccer. Oh, shit. Incest alert. Incest alert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever is decided, it will be the decision of the subcommittee, and approval from the board of directors is not required. God, I thought this committee was told to stand down. The subcommittee, formed last December and comprised of 7 board members, was created with the belief that the Open Cup needed a reset in 2024, while also having discussions with stakeholders about the tournament's format. This is despite the USSF already having a U.S. Open Cup committee. Oh, so this is a subcommittee.
It'd be interesting.
Oh, okay. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah. It'd be interesting because they mentioned the seven board members. It'd be interesting to see what ties they may have with MLS.
Exactly.
Actually, one of those board members happens to be Don Gobbler.
You know, I can just see it now. You know, our U.S. Open Cup committee is so fucking dumb. And you know what? There are too many idiots on it. So why don't we start our own subcommittee made of the board of directors guys and gals, and they'll make the decision, and we'll just pretend like the U.S. Open Cup committee doesn't exist. Let's do that.
Pretty much.
And that's sad. That's sad. That's not really how a nonprofit should work. Really, it shouldn't be. Because and I ran a nonprofit for 7-8 years. I ran one. I ran 2, actually. But the last one I did was Bloomington Restorations. And if we formed we had a committee to make decisions about what happened with our property. And we didn't just like go, you know what, they're making some bad decisions. Let's just form a subcommittee of the actual board here.
Brilliant.
Like 5 of us, and we'll pretend they don't exist, and we won't read any of their suggestions, and we'll just make decisions our own. Yeah, that committee would be fucking pissed. because they were their committee. That's their responsibility. And it'd be like us telling them to stand down. We're going to make it. Fuck you. Get off. I mean, you're not really, because they had all quit. They quit. That's why we have members of the actual U.S. Open committee quitting, because they're not being allowed to do what their job description is, probably somewhere in the letter of the laws of the board. Somehow this has got to be illegal. It's not how nonprofits work. You can't just form a committee and then say, yeah, we formed you, but you really are not going to do anything, because we're going to form a subcommittee, which subcommittee would mean even lower than the committee, and yet they're going to make the decision because you're too stupid to find an answer. That's what they're basically saying. It's sad. It's a sad sack of, what a bunch of sack of shits. Sack of shits.
So we're saying that Batson should grow a pair and say, hey, you're either going to be playing in the U.S. Open Cup from now until the end of eternity,
or you're not,
or you're going to lose your D1 sanction.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, really stick it to him. I think LB has a great idea here. USSF should mandate that promotion and relegation be implemented by 2027. Really stick it to them. Knife in between the ribs. How about that?
I think LB stands for left ball. That's out of there. I don't think that's even something there. That sack of testicles has not been sniffed, my friend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know from the situation, I know that he has actively stated that he is not going to be supporting Chicago this year, and that he's going to be supporting his local USL team. And judging by the responses, there's a number of people who are in that same boat.
Yeah, and then
there's a small number overall, but I mean, it's MLS is doing a great job of, as far as like just chipping away at their base.
Oh,
and
yeah,
replacing on top a bunch of the the youth clubs and the soccer moms and stuff like that, and it's not sustainable. I don't think
this happens when you go full out Ivy League. You get you get dumb, you get stupid, because you have no connection to normal people. You have no connection to average working fans, and you lose your way. I mean, that's been going on at Chicago Fire for so long. Nelson Rodriguez, perfect example of a person who failed his way into a job.
Chicago's been actively chipping away at its hardcore base for a decade plus.
More, yeah, I'd say more than a decade.
And it would take a master stroke of changes before I think people would make the switch back, and I don't think they would necessarily. I think there's enough people that have just basically said, you know what, I'm going to go to Chicago House now. And
that's what Pete said, didn't he?
That's what Pete said. He's got BMR mentioned that it's Orange County. He's going to be watching and becoming a season ticket holder. He's even talked about possibly reaching out to them to see if he can orchestrate some form of media aspect of creating some videos for them and stuff like that. And
things. Well, I mean, at least we've got Indy 11 to fall back on, and we always have, and maybe we'll go to more of those games. But
yeah, I mentioned to Pete how we even talked about possibly covering the 11 more from time, like the past year. We've talked about it.
Yeah,
the problem is for us. I mean, that's such a niche audience as it is. We already have a niche audience, and covering Indy 11 would be even more of a niche audience.
Yeah, it really would be. But I mean, listen, you look at people who cover specific English professional teams, like the guy at Norwich. Mm-hmm. Norwich, that guy's got 29,000, because I mean, even though it's niche in his country to cover Norwich, it's still not so niche, because there are a lot of people who support Norwich across the world, not just in England. So same thing goes for the bigger clubs, obviously, Man City, Man United, etc., Liverpool. So anyhow, I think that's going to do it for the show, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just want to let everybody know, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that like button and subscribe button. If 30% of the people that watch this show aren't subscribed?
Not subbed. Yeah.
Sub. Quit not subbing. Got to sub.
Also, guys, next, I don't know if just what you were going to say with also, but this upcoming Thursday, we got Meg Swanna coming on.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier in the show. Yeah.
We're also going to be having Jimmy Conrad on soon enough.
Yep, that's in the works. I mean, we're having a lot more guests lately. I don't know why. I know Pete's going to be on here too. I talked to him about that.
The void of soccer content as a whole.
Well, it's been fun. It's been fun now that people know what our show is, because now when they come on, it's not like a deer in headlights. Like when Max came on, he's like, okay, I know it's going to be some tomfoolery going on.
We came back, we pulled him in. He's like, what did I get myself into? We were talking about the dog and the Red Rocket.
Right. And he knew what he was getting into. And when I said there are a bunch of sickos on the show, hey, I know. We're the sickos. You're just along for the ride. But I thought, wink, wink, you guys would get that. So I just want to say, if you are jerking off your stepmom's boyfriend, this is really something you probably should rethink. All right. I would go back to hooking up with your stepsister or your stepbrother, whatever. But jerking off your stepmom's boyfriend behind her back is probably a bad idea. I mean, it's a whole story behind that, but we've talked about that earlier. All right. We'll be back Thursday. And until the next time on the Straight Right Card, we love you. Good night.
But she's a trap. She's an unsung novel. Turn a lap and get your whole world dazzled on the line, or a phone call with or without wine.
That hurt.
Then what is this thing?
Gio should never play for U.S. men's national team again because of the action of his parents.
What an idiot! Oh!
What type of Muppet does this?
Muppets. Absolute Muppets.
I'm not going to be the best person to give a whole explanation here, but that's...